Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching first part of What If Kid Naruto acquired Phoenix Force after sacrificing Kurama. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no time, let's start the story.
I suppose I could begin this story by discussing the abuse I experienced, the suffering and heartache I've gone through, or something similar. I won't, though I'll tell you about myself and my particular circumstance. Instead, only a handful of people in history have been like me. I don't mean the son of a cage, the plague of the village, or even the vessel of a tailed beast when I say, like me. No, I'm referring to something that the world has forgotten about when I say that people like me, a creature capable of transformation. You could say that everyone is capable of change if the change is something as simple as a weight, where you live, who you hang out with, or who you love or hate. Then that would be the case. I am not referring to that change. Maybe it would be best if I explained what you don't know after I explained what you do know. You are all aware of how I was duped into joining Team 7 and stealing the Forbidden Scroll. I went to Wave and saved the nation. As you are all aware of the battle at the Valley of the End and the Chunin exams. But you really don't know that my life was forever altered by that incident. Sasuke ironically stated that he wished to remove all bonds. He would commit suicide if he realized the true bond he had made that day. He initially caused my death by stabbing me in the chest with a Chidori. Kyuubi did something that no one would ever believe a demon could do. While I was laying them down, he sobbed. The evil that had engulfed him for 10,000 years was broken in that instant when the Shinigami arrived to take our souls. He struck a bargain with death. Let me explain it to you. Flash Kyuubi Cage Naruto had his back to a wall. I sensed his soul departing from his body. He was worn out, weary of loneliness and weary of suffering. I'm tired of being tired and tired of the hate. A ghost in a black robe emerged from the ceiling as a white light appeared and uttered the words, "It's time, mortals. I want to ask you something. Shinigami, do you have the power to bestow the heavenly powers?" Kyuubi said as the figure in Naruto turned to face the cage after hearing a sob. Shinigami replied, "Yes, Kitsune. Why?" Kyuubi replied, "I offer you a trade. You know the seal won't take me and I will be freed within 20 years. The Shinigami replied, "Yes, I know, not enough time has passed for it to take you fully. What do you care?" Kyuubi responded, "I will give myself for a trade. You know you won't have to take another soul for 100 years with mine and can take a vacation and let the others take your place during that time. In exchange I ask for a few things." In a neutral tone, the Shinigami uttered, "That would be." Kyuubi glanced at Naruto and said, "The kid here, you know what his life has been like because of me. I want to repay him for giving me something I have not had in 10,000 years. Hope to repay him. I want him to keep my power, but I also want him to have the heavenly power of Phoenix." The Shinigami asked, "Why do you want this mortal to have that power?" After glancing at him, Kyuubi stated, "No matter what, the kid will have humans trying to kill him because of me, even with me gone, so that is why I want him to have my power. The Phoenix power is so he can correct the mistakes of humans. I think he is worthy because he has a pure spirit." The Shinigami glanced at Naruto and said, "I can give it to him, but he will not be able to go back to birth. I will set it up so he can't go back before the age of 5 to keep this power and be able to use it. Aegean, he must save one life for every time he goes back. If he goes back, he will have to start from the same day every time. He must try and make the best life he can because he will be judged off of that life when he gives up the power." "Very well," Kyuubi replied, "I agree to those terms." Naruto attempted to speak after observing the situation, but he lacked the necessary energy. "You will teach him, Kitsune, how to use your powers properly," the Shinigami said. "Therefore, I won't take your soul just yet. A few things, including his family, will need to be explained to him. Do you concur?" "Yes," Kyuubi replied. "Good." The Shinigami then pulled out his sword, walked over to Naruto, and stabbed him in the stomach seal before removing it and declaring, "You will rise from the ashes of death to correct the wrongs you deem worthy to correct. You now have until you choose to unleash this power, the Phoenix," and pressed the sword against Naruto's forehead, causing him to scream in agony as a phoenix emblem materialized. Naruto was 5 years old when he woke up in his bed in his apartment and saw red flames for the first time. This day would be his focus until he decided his life was worth living. I started training under the Kyuubi, and while I learned a few things, I had not yet passed the Valley of the End. Today, I began my 4th visit. So it begins again. Naruto sighed and blinked as he looked up at the ceiling. He got out of bed, completed his morning routine, hurriedly put on his hideous orange suit, and left his apartment, making his first stop at the Hokage office. After pushing a civilian out of the way of a falling plant, Naruto took about half an hour to cross town to the tower. He then slipped past the 2 guards at the mission room, entered the Hokage's office lobby, dressed in a simple henge to resemble Asuma, and asked the secretary, "Is Dad in?" "Of course, Asuma," she said, blinking. "Enter now." "You might want to hold his appointments," Asuma said, nodding. "This will require some time." After the secretary nodded, Asuma entered the Hokage's office. The third person looked up and asked, "Who are you?" After Asuma had shut the door. Asuma dropped the hinge and revealed a 5-year-old Naruto, saying, "It's good to see you Aegean, old man." Naruto, "What?" the third said, blinking, but he stopped when Naruto raised his hand. "We need to talk," Naruto said, adding that Danzo would have his root member spy if the council knew I was in here at the moment I hanged into your son for that reason. "What's so important that you would need secrecy, and how do you know Heng?" the third asked, nodding slowly. With a sigh, Naruto gestured to the chair and said, "May I?" The third person nodded, and Naruto sat down, saying, "I already told your secretary to hold your meetings because this is a long story. When I returned, that was your recommendation from earlier." "I never," the third said, but he stopped when Naruto raised his hand once more. "You never told me that in this timeline," Naruto remarked. "Let me give you a brief story, the full details of which only you know, to let you know that this is not one of my easy practical jokes. I'll explain the rest as well if I can accomplish that. It's the least you could do for Kyuubi no Kitsune's vessel and the son of Arashi Kazama," he smirked. After blinking and going pale, the third asked, "How?" As ironic as it is the end or the valley of the end, Naruto stated that it is best to begin at the beginning. "Sasuke Uchiha's Chidori was killing me because I didn't think my teammate would really do it. I turned off my Rasengan, but he killed me with the curse seal he had from Orochimaru and his desire for vengeance against Itachi. Kyuubi struck a bargain with the death god, but the Shinigami came to take my soul away. He freely offered his soul in exchange for the Shinigami doing two things, since he would be free after 20 years because we had not sufficiently merged. One gave me all of Kyuubi's abilities, and the other gave me the Phoenix's divine power. With that power, I can go back in time and start over as long as I save one person before I die. It's my 4th time. Danzo killed me the first time, and Orochimaru killed me the second time. Itachi killed me the last time, and now I'm back. Even though I know everything about the future, it won't really matter because I can alter events. Even if you kill me right now without believing me, I'll start over in a few minutes because I saved the life of someone on the way here, so I'm guaranteed another chance, and I won't trust you the next time." "So why do you need to see me then?" asked the third. "I have the body of a 5-year-old, Naruto remarked. "Even though Kyuubi has already strengthened it, it won't matter in the future." The third hand again said, "I thought you said the..." "I told you the Kyuubi made the deal." Naruto said he is keeping Kyuubi and me together for the time being because the Shinigami stated that I would require guidance in order to use Kyuubi's power and to explain things to me. Kyuubi is teaching me how to change my body and use his chakra so that I can do it on my own when he isn't around. And don't worry, I'm not changing into a demon or anything. It's just my heightened senses, healing abilities, genetic makeup, and physical conditioning. After glancing at Naruto, the third said, "Bloodline." "Oh, that's right, you don't know," Naruto said. "Well, this is going to be a kicker for you. When Bakken told me to, I did." "Are you aware of who your grandfather and grandmother are?" The third responded, "No, I don't actually. As far as I can tell, Arashi was an orphan, and he never trusted me to know who his wife was. He was in an orphanage, but not because his parents passed away." Naruto stated. "You really know both of them, and they are both alive as you watched them grow up. Your grandmother kept her pregnancy a secret from you out of fear of disappointing you being her sensei and all." Naruto grinned as the third's head began to spin and he went pale. "She should really stop drinking and gambling," Naruto said. "However, she and her grandfather would not have had a father if she had done that." The third person asked, "Who was he?" Naruto replied, "You have his book in your drawer under a genjutsu." Knowing who it was at the time, the third laughed and remarked, "That is hard to believe that those two actually had a thing." Naruto remarked, "I was informed that she was 15 years old at the time, and you had sent them on missions together. Following the death of her brother, they became inebriated. You can guess what happened after she placed a wager." According to the third, "So what do you plan to do if with this info you have?" "Some events must occur and cannot be prevented," Naruto stated, "despite my strong desire for them to." According to the third, "And they are..." "I'm sorry," Naruto said. "We won't do that again because I told you before and they blew up in both of our faces. Actually, I have told you too much, but I can feel somewhat secure because you will be dead by the time those things occur. For the time being, only I will know what is expected to occur. Danzo and the council will have the leverage they need to take you away and murder me if you interfere with the proceedings or move too quickly, even though I would like to tell you everything." With a sigh, the third asked, "Is there anything you could do?" After giving it some thought, Naruto remarked, "Yeah, but it will take time, and I'm not sure how you can do it. But our ally Suna can bolster the ties that bind our village together later on. It will be simpler if a marriage must be arranged. Temari, Kankuro, and Gaara are the 3 children of the Kazekage. Perhaps a political marriage would work well for the first 2, but not for Gaara." The third person asked, why not Gaara? According to Naruto, he is a vessel also. With a pale face, the third said, I was not aware of that. I had it bad, but he has it worse, Naruto remarked, because Gaara is Suna's secret weapon and his seal is broken. The cage actually boasts about him. So, why do you want us to be their ally? Asked the third. Naruto remarked, after his passing, our relationship improves. Some things may change if everything is going well right now. I don't understand, but for the time being, I will trust you, the third said. What are your plans, then? I need to learn more skills and train my body, Naruto stated. Even with what I currently know, I won't be prepared for what lies ahead. What is it you need then? Asked the third. After giving it some thought, Naruto declared, wind is my chakra affinity. Although I have to re-sign the Toad contract, I am familiar with Kage Bunshin, Rasengan, Henge, replacement, and summoning. I know a lot about Taijutsu, but my body isn't ready for it yet. I want to get better at Kenjutsu in addition to tree climbing and water walking. Perhaps I can find a new chakra control exercise. That's my strongest suit. When I first returned, I passed away at the age of 7 then, because I had made Orochimaru fear me. I passed away at 9 and again at 12. The third replied, well, I might be able to get you a Kenjutsu teacher and a chakra control exercise, but it will take time. With a nod, Naruto asked, is Anko in the village? What would you want with her? Asked the third, who had gone pale. I want her to teach me how to fight, Naruto remarked. I am fully aware of her and Orochimaru's history. She is, but I can't guarantee she will teach you, the third person said. Leave that to me, Naruto said. Don't consider anything if you hear explosions coming from the forest of death. The third person asked, why is that? Naruto replied, I need to get her to train me. So what's the best way to impress a sadistic bloodthirsty nympho? Third, do I want to know? According to Naruto, you make her submit. But you are only 5, the third person said. How are you going to force her to submit? Only physically, and Kyuubi can fix that, Naruto stated mentally. I'm closer to 25. Additionally, you don't train under Erosanin for 5 years and not pick up a few tips. I don't want to think about it, the third person said. Good, Naruto said CYA, and made his way to the door. Don't you need some help? Asked the third. Just get the Kenjutsu and the chakra control exercise for me, Naruto said. Take care of Suna as well. I'll take care of the rest on my own for the time being. And changed back to Asuma before leaving. I'm getting too old for this shit, the third sighed. Oh, before I forget, Asuma said as she entered again, are you acquainted with Kage Bunshin? Naruto said, enjoy the paperwork, professor, and left after the third person nodded. With a perplexed expression, the third asked, why would he need to know if I knew Kage Bunshin and told me? Damn it. He slammed his head against the table and said, you could have told me. That's how you did it, Arashi. He then turned to face the Hokage monument. While still disguised as Asuma, Naruto laughed as he exited the tower, cut down an alleyway, and began to release the henge, only to be dragged into a kiss by a very attractive Kurenai. Making the most of the moment, Naruto took charge of the situation and returned the kiss before breaking it off and stating, you know, you have to learn to spot a henge if you're Konoha's genjutsu mistress. He turned to leave, but was pushed against a wall and had a kunai placed to his neck. After a few moments of struggling, Kurenai gave in to the lust, dropped the kunai, and closed her eyes to enjoy the moment. Who are you to MPH? She asked him, but was stopped when the position was reversed and her lips were engulfed in another passionate kiss. She opened her eyes to see Asuma grinning and saying, age is not the only way to learn about love. After the presence abruptly left her lips. Furthermore, you don't have to live in constant fear of getting hurt, and was engulfed in a whirlpool of flames. Enjoy your life, Senseiheim. Kurenai blinked and tried to find the person who had been here a moment before, but she couldn't find him anywhere. She straightened up and went to get her kunai, but it was gone, so she left the alleyway to consider who and what it might be. When she jumped to avoid a kunai, Anko was eating a dango and using the sticks to make a snake design on the wall of the forest of death. She landed, looked around, and asked, who are you? Someone on the fence laughed and said, a snake should always beware of a predator. Looking up, Anko saw a man standing on the fence, about 6 feet tall, with blonde hair. Who are you? Anko asked. I'll give you what you want if you can catch me and force me to submit, the man said with a laugh. But I'll be hunting you too, he said, leaping into the woods. Anko leapt up and over the wall and started hunting after scanning the area without snagging anyone else. Q, you had better start pumping your chakra into me. Naruto thought I'm going to be exhausted by this. Kyuubi responded, what do you think I have been doing since we got back, Kit? Naruto was wondering, how come your voice is not all heavy in the demonic anymore? Kyuubi was saying, "My hatred is gone and with it so is the malice in my voice." Just as Naruto was about to think, he leapt to the side to avoid a snake that was leaping out of the earth. With a chuckle, Naruto remarked, "You have to do better than that." Naruto heard someone grab him and sensed a presence behind him. "What was that?" he asked. Anko was launched into the air by Naruto's boom and smile, but two more of the guys who had attacked her then showed up and kicked her into each other like a pinball. The man before her remarked, "A snake should avoid a fox." Anko threw out a snake from her sleeve, destroyed one, and then turned to the other, only to watch her summon rise in a puff of smoke. Anko appeared perplexed, but the man in front of her eyes turned red, then his nails grew longer. He then charged at her, slashing her. She ducked, but she was too late to avoid the underswipe, which sliced her coat, shirt, and top of her shoulder. In an attempt to scare her opponent, Anko grabbed a small piece of blood and licked it after noticing that her wound was only minor. "Gotcha," said the man in front of her, and he rose in a cloud of smoke. When she heard Doden, Yomi Numa, Earth Release, Underworld Swamp, and a swamp materialized beneath her, Anko turned to look around and began to move, but she was unable to do so because she could see that the person who had attacked her was still channeling chakra into the attack and that she was being drained of all of her chakra. Breathing heavily, she asked, "What do you want?" The statement was made by Naruto. "I want you to train me to kill Orochimaru." As she dropped to her knees, Anko blinked and asked, "Then why did you attack me?" "I knew you would say no," said Naruto, who was still wielding the jutsu. "I had to do it to make you like me. Unfortunately, I suppose my body is not yet strong enough to do it." He then let go of the jutsu, fell to the ground, dropped the henge, and reverted to his 5-year-old self. With a blink, Anko said, "You must be fucking me." She heard a moan and looked down to see the boy with the little blonde hair, who looked up and said, "Hello Anko." When Anko noticed the whiskers on his face, he asked, "So what was that about?" "Like I said, Naruto said I'd like to murder Orochimaru. I need to know how he attacks in order to do that. Since you used to be one of his students, I reasoned that since you despise him, I could get you to assist me in my training." After giving him a quick glance, Anko asked, "How do you know that, kid?" "I am older than I look," Naruto remarked. "I am far more knowledgeable than that," pointing to the curse seal around her neck. "I also want you to know that I can fix that." With a reflexive neck rub, Anko asked, "How can a little kid do what no one else can't?" "You know what I am," Naruto said. "You are also aware of my innermost thoughts. I am aware that I can destroy a level 1 curse seal as long as the target does not resist, and I know how to use his chakra to heal my body." Naruto said, "If you don't trust me, we can go to the Hokage's office to do it," as Anko looked thoughtfully. Following what appeared to be some consideration, Anko asked, "What can you give me as proof?" Naruto blurted out, "My life." Naruto remarked, "You can summon snakes," as Anko blinked. "If you attack my heart, the asp can kill me." "Why do you want to kill Orochimaru so much?" asked Anko, blinking. "He intends to destroy the leaf," Naruto stated. "I intend to murder him when he arrives." After giving the statement some thought, Anko asked, "How do you know what he is planning to do?" "I know a lot more than I should," Naruto remarked. "My life forced me to do so." "What age do you think I am?" "I know you're 5 years old," Anko said. "It's nice to be underestimated," Naruto remarked with a chuckle. "Yes, physically, even though Kurenai will most likely kill me for the kiss later, but mentally, that's a different matter." Anko replied, "That's a good story and all, but why should I believe you?" With a smile, Naruto remarked, "Let's imagine that you and I were friends, once close friends who share information about specific tattoos with one another." After a brief period of paleness, Anko remarked, "That's a good one, kid." Naruto remarked, "Hey, it's not my fault that you got a viper tattooed on your body to impress the man you were in love with. Unfortunately, he's gay. It was really nicely executed." With a furious expression, Anko said, "Give me one reason why I shouldn't kill you now. I have no idea how you found out about that." "Like I said, I know more than I should," Naruto remarked. "However, I have 2 reasons why you shouldn't murder me. You're tired of being by yourself, and you're turned on right now, never really opening up around someone while hiding behind that mask. I'm scared of getting hurt again." After giving Naruto a quick glance, Anko asked, "What was that about Kurenai a moment ago?" "Oh, not much," Naruto said as he got up and approached Anko. "I did this because she thought I was someone else." He grabbed her hanging back into his tall blonde henge and then pressed her against the tree she was near and held her there while he broke the kiss, jumped back, and said, "See you at the Hokage office." Then he vanished in a whirlpool of flames. When a swirl of flames appeared in his office, the third was reading his book and had 2 cage bun shins doing his paperwork. He initially thought he might be attacked, But then he saw Naruto, and after blinking, Naruto held up his hand and began removing a finger beginning with the number 5. A whirl of leaves materialized as he reached the final one, and Anko stood there with a murderous expression on her face. "I take it you found Anko," the third person said. Naruto walked to the window and said, "Yeep," and I gave her an offer to remove her curse seal. However, he was thrown a kunai and had to duck under it. Turning around, Naruto remarked, "It was just one kiss." She fought back for a moment before giving in and kissing him again, but she broke the kiss as he stood her up, opening her eyes wide because he put his tongue in her mouth. Anko said, "I am going to skin you alive," and charged him, but he ducked under her swipe, grabbed her from behind, bent her backwards so she was level with his true height, and kissed her again on the lips. After standing her up, Naruto walked over to a chair and asked, "So, do you want that seal removed or not?" as the third person simultaneously giggled and sweated. Trying to decide whether to kill him or let him try and then kill him, Anko looked at him. With impatience, Naruto uttered, "Just show me the damn seal already, in addition to persuading you to teach me. I have other tasks to complete today to get Kakashi to teach me mist jutsu. I must track him down and steal his book, get rid of the civilians, and I'll give you some weapons." Anko, the third, and the two clones all blinked as they watched him, and Anko exclaimed, "Exactly who is this little shit? How are you planning on buying weapons when you should not have any money?" The third pointed out to her. "Well, I have 3 ways to do it," Naruto remarked with a chuckle. "I can then open the vaults at my family's estate. Second, I could get some cash from you, or 3. I could do this." He approached the Yondiami photo and bit his thumb before attaching it. As the image began to change and evolve, a safe materialized and opened, and Naruto reached inside, took out several scrolls, examined them, tossed one to the third, and remarked, "I got about $1 billion here to play with." "Did I wake up in another universe or something?" asked Anko, glancing at the third. "I must have a drink." Naruto replied, "Wait till I remove the seal and I will join you." "Will you leave me alone today after you remove her seal?" The third sighed. "I think I should either retire or commit suicide." Naruto replied, "You still have other things to work on, remember." Taking a deep breath, the third remarked, "I think I liked you before. I suppose I am a little high-strung." Naruto sighed. "When your best friend and teammate tries to kill you, who wouldn't? You were killed by a man you attempt to stop from killing his family. A grandfather you looked up to is restrained while his successor murders you. And the man who initially destroyed your life then murders you for attempting to save the friend who would murder you." He approaches and sits on the window sill, gazing at the Hokage mountain, saying, "I'm tired, old man." After giving the third a quick glance, Anko turned to face Naruto and said, "Try telling us about it and maybe we can help." "I already told you about the deal Kyuubi made with the Shinigami." Naruto sighed. "The first time I returned, I attempted to complete it alone. When Orochimaru offered Itachi power, I reasoned that if I could prevent Itachi from killing the Uchiha clan, his brother wouldn't be betrayed. The village. I discovered then that I lacked the strength to stop him. You attempted to assist me in putting an end to the Uchiha massacre. When I told you what had happened the next time I visited, I attempted to stop them by arguing that it was not your fault, but the council used it as leverage to have you removed. Danzo stabbed me in the heart and had his root members hold you down. You had Jiraiya take me to train outside of the village when I returned. When I was injured, Tsunade, who we met, performed a blood test. Our relationship and its origins were revealed by that blood test in order to save Sasuke. When the time came, I went back for team placement and was put on the same squad once more. When it became apparent that Kakashi was favoritism, I also became friends with Anko and Kurenai. At that point, Anko and I began dating. Kurenai and Asuma were having problems, so Anko persuaded her to join us for some fun. Breaking the odds is a habit of mine. In a month, I learned Rasengan. I could make Zabuza, the demon of the mist, an ally. A nation can be saved by me. I could lift the spirit of Kyuubi's curse. I could make both women happy by being with 2 of them at the same time. But I couldn't protect myself from S-class criminals. Naruto's eyes were watering. He said, "I don't know how Dad did it," while continuing to gaze at the monument, "to sacrifice his son in order to save a village. I suppose that's how we differ from one another. Dad, to do it, you were prepared to sacrifice everything. I have to follow suit somehow. Dad, I wish you were here to mentor me. It's awful to start over, but it's even worse to die knowing that you failed." Naruto, "What is it you hope to do?" asked the third. "Being a Hokage was all I wanted in my first life," Naruto sighed. "To prove to the villagers that I was not the demon they believed me to be. I had no idea why they detested me for 12 years. It was one of the first people I considered a friend that ultimately led to my demise, but it took me 12 years to start making friends. I reasoned that if I could save him, I wouldn't have to let my friends down again. I then attempted a different strategy to save him by eliminating Orochimaru, his betrayer. Old man, I'm at a loss for words or actions. I reasoned that I could become strong enough to stop him because I remember everything I learned and that fucking band Itachi plays with. I need to be strong enough to stop the 9S class criminals who are pursuing me. Anko asked, why do you care for this friend of yours so much anyway? After the third sat quietly for a while, Naruto remarked, even though he constantly made fun of me, called me names, and pretended to despise me, he was the center of attention and the first person next to the elderly man who genuinely showed some acceptance of me. You want to save him for taking you in, but he treated you badly. Anko said, maybe you're a fool. I would learn everything I could if I could accomplish what you say I could. Then I would start over and prove to all the fools that you were superior to them, but that's just me. Perhaps you're right, Naruto said, glancing at her old man. What do you think? After giving it some thought, the third person asked, is there a limit to how many times you can come back? As long as I save one life every time. No, Naruto stated, unless I relinquish this power. Why? How strong would you need to be to take out Orochimaru and those S-class criminals? The third asked after a brief pause. After giving it some thought, Naruto remarked, Orochimaru was the weakest of them and killed 2 Kages in less than a month. I would have to be more powerful than a Kage. Anko replied, what about with your demon chakra you used when fighting me? It's a double-edged sword, Naruto said. By the time I had to battle Orochimaru, my power would be limited to no more than 3 tails. That option is pointless once more if he applies that fucking 5-star seal to me. I have a plan that might work, but it would take a lot of time. The third person stated, you definitely have a lot of Naruto. In that regard I concur. Certain things have to occur. Don't even worry about that. The Uchiha clan is one of them. You also need to be careful about who you tell when you come to me. I want you to repeat this saying rather than doing it the way you did today. All set? The third said, a monkey will climb higher to avoid a snake, and Naruto nodded. He might not be able to climb quickly enough even with the assistance of a snail and a frog. Only with the strength of a snail, the agility of a frog, and the intelligence of a monkey can a fox kill a snake. After giving it some thought, Naruto remarked, I understand that when applying the summons as a guide. What are you going to do, old man? After giving it some thought, the third said, your plan for Suna is good, but that is a bonus. It would make sense to get stronger, and you would need to be trained in every area to reach Kage level. This could take a while to complete, Naruto. Do you comprehend this? So get stronger and strengthen the bonds between us and Suna, Naruto said, nodding. What else? After giving it some thought, the third person turned to face Anko and remarked, well, as luck would have it, you will also have the dream of every man. With narrowed eyes, Anko asked, what do you mean? You will need to work on restoring your clan Kazama when you plan to make your move, the third said with a laugh. Kazama, as in? Said Anko, blinking. Naruto replied, yes, Arashi Kazama the Yondaime was my father. Anko replied, I thought you were losing your mind, kid. So get multiple wives. Naruto sighed. What else? After giving it some thought, the third person said, you need to learn sealing, kenjutsu, ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu, strategy, stealth, medical jutsu, and other aspects of your life because you must have had some run-ins with it since you mentioned the 5-star seal. You need to become more of a ladies' man. Find out more about the women you wish to marry in order to find out the secrets of other villages. You will also need to leave this one. Learn as much as you can about Orochimaru's allies, including who they are. According to Naruto, anywhere you think I should start first. What is your worst? Asked the third person with a laugh. Naruto uttered the word, genjutsu. Upon reflection, the third person said, okay, good place to start. In response, Naruto asked, when do we begin? What have we done? Asked Anko. On his way to the Hokage tower, Naruto shoved a guy aside and hurried into the office without even hanging a couple guards, and the secretary attempted to stop him, but it was a bad idea. Naruto put a genjutsu on all 3, giving them the impression that they were in one of the Jiraiya fantasies. Naruto woke up in his bed, looked at the roof, and remarked, I really hate those tiles. The third grinned as he said, Naruto, what can I do for you today? As soon as Naruto entered, I have something to say, and then we can talk, Naruto said as he approached and sat down, placing his feet on the desk to get away from a snake. A monkey will ascend higher. He might not be able to climb quickly enough even with the assistance of a snail and a frog. Only with the strength of a snail, the agility of a frog, and the intelligence of a monkey can a fox kill a snake. With a blink, the third asked, who are you? After glancing at the ceiling, Naruto uttered the words, Naruto Kazama. The third said, so tell me, Naruto, what's going on, as he reclined in his chair. It's time to get started. Naruto declared, I've lived more lives than I'd like to remember. I would be much older than the fox if you counted all of my years together. I won't explain why or how, but know that you might want to reveal my true identity to everyone. Don't feel bad about it, though, because Kyuubi is dead." After blinking, the third asked, "Can I see the seal?" With a chuckle, Naruto lifted his shirt and uttered, "What seal?" "How strong are you?" asked the third. After giving it some thought, Naruto remarked, "More than enough for what I need to do." "So what do you plan to do?" asked the third. "How are things between Suna and Konoha?" asked Naruto. According to the third, strained, "Why, he has a daughter named Tamari," Naruto stated. "Set her up with Hokage's son for marriage." According to the third, "Why would I do that?" Naruto stated, "Once the council finds out who I really am and my bloodline added to the fact Kyuubi's dead, they will jump at the chance to initiate the clan resurrection laws." After giving it some thought, the third asked, "What bloodline?" After closing his eyes and saying, "Give me a moment and I will activate it and show you," the third person felt Naruto's chakra rise and then subside, and Naruto began to form Han seals before approaching a plant on the side of the room and saying, "Growth," which caused the plant to suddenly grow 3 feet tall. According to Naruto, long story short, Dad is not the only Kage blood I have. "I think this might be a good idea," the third said, blinking. "However, what are your plans?" Naruto replied, "I don't want you to make it public knowledge who I really am yet." After blinking, the third asked, "Why?" "I want to prove a few things to people," Naruto stated, "in order to stop them when the time comes. I also need some people to undervalue me and those who believe I'm Kyuubi to continue to despise me. I want you to keep it a secret until then." "What exactly are you going to do?" asked the third. As Naruto put it, "Train my body," the third individual replied. "What exactly does Orochimaru have to do with this, Naruto?" "My friend, you'll know when the time approaches," Naruto remarked. "I can't tell you without seriously ruining things." As he made his way to the door, he said, "Oh, keep everyone except Anko away from the Forest of Death." "Why, Naruto?" asked the third. "You must provide me with something." "I'm going to live there," Naruto declared. "What would you like to get in exchange for spending more time with your grandson?" "I would love to, but," said the third. After giving him a quick glance, Naruto said, "Enjoy your life, my old friend. To complete paperwork and enjoy life, use Kage Bunshin's. I'll do my best to keep out of your way and avoid bothering you until it's time." "Naruto," said the third, "what are your plans?" "I will be training," Naruto declared. "I was a new student on the day that my age group was scheduled to take the Genin test finals. I'll be back then. Until then, it will appear as though I have left." "Naruto, wait," said the third. "I apologize." "I promise you, my friend," Naruto said with a smile, "I'll save as many people as I can, and when the time comes, the years you protected me will be restored. Just arrange Temari's marriage and keep my identity a secret other than the fact that I am the last member of my clan with a bloodline." After the third nodded, Naruto left the ally and said, "Till we meet Aegean beautiful Senseiheim." He had just changed into a Suma and was on his way to the ally when Kurenai grabbed him again. He had been there for 10 minutes. He was never seen again for nearly 7 years after that. Fast forward 7 years. The academy. Iruka sighed as he read the note that the Hokage had sent him this morning, stating that a new student would be present for today's finals. He would be unique, but he would not reveal his name. When someone knocked on the door, he went to the door and said, "Can I help?" But stopped when he saw the figure standing there. He was almost 5 feet 10 and weighed 160 pounds. He was wearing black pants, had a sword on his left side, a black vest that was unzipped except at the very bottom, and had blonde hair that was trimmed to be only about 2 inches tall and spiky. His eyes were blue, but had a small red ring and slitted pupils. He had scrolls all over his vest in addition to what appeared to be seals on his hands, a shuriken, and 2 kuniya holsters on his legs. "Yes," the figure said, "I was told to take the test today by the Hokage." With a blink, Iruka replied, "Yes, what is your name?" With a smile, the figure said, "Naruto, Naruto." Iruka wrote after writing that down. "Uzumaki," said Naruto before he said, "Right." Iruka paled and then started to perspire, dropping his pen. "In any case, take a seat." Despite the looks he was receiving, Naruto nodded and moved to the back of the class, where he sat down before Iruka said, "All right, class, you must pass this test to demonstrate your readiness to become a ninja. Please come to the other room to take a test when I call your name." After that, they began the test, and Naruto's turn finally arrived. The Mizuki said, "Don't I know you from someplace, kid?" as Naruto entered the room. With a smile, Naruto said, "I've been around." He looked at Mizuki, who was not with Iruka, and channeled chakra into his eyes, turning them red before they vanished and returned to normal. Naruto asked, "So what's the test?" as Mizuki gestured with his finger. Unaware of the reason behind Mizuki's pointing, Iruka remarked, "Do at least 2 bunshin." In response, Naruto asked, Can it be any kind? Sure. Iruka replied after Naruto simply nodded. Iruka and 5 Bunshin blinked and remarked, "You did not use hand seals." "Nope," was Naruto's response, and he took a headband before heading out to join the others. Iruka asked, "What's wrong with you, Mizuki?" after he left. "It's the Kyuubi brat," Mizuki said. Iruka replied, "I know it's him, but why are you freaking out?" "I know what I saw," Mizuki said. "It's him, the Kyuubi." "I think you were crazy or something." Iruka sighed. "I am giving him the benefit of the doubt because, after all, it has been 12 years and no one has died. In addition, the Hokage is aware of his presence. Why else would he announce his arrival to us? He was waiting to kill us." Mizuki said. "He's back now, and I have no doubt that he is prepared to do it. There is nothing we can do at this time." Iruka sighed. "Let's go do our work." Iruka said, "Well done all of you who pass. Come tomorrow to be assigned your team," and Mizuki sighed before following him to class and heading out. After waiting for everyone to depart, Naruto departed in a whirlpool of flames. The third was sitting in the Hokage office, observing the individuals he had selected to serve as senseis for this year's Genin: Kurenai, Kakashi, and Asuma. As the third sighed and began to speak, a whirl of flames erupted in his office, causing everyone to jump back. They had never seen anyone arrive in such a manner before, and the figure standing there said, "Thanks old man for keeping the place going. I am back." "It's been too long, Naruto," the third said with a laugh. "You ready for the real fun to begin, old man? We have less than 6 months before the village will be attacked," Naruto said, glancing at the people present. The third person in the room sighed and said, "So you ready to talk?" as everyone in the room tensed. "It's good to see you all again, Kakashi, Asuma, Kurama," Naruto sighed. Everyone appeared perplexed, so Naruto went to the window and said, "Can you get Anko and Ibiki? I'll tell you everything when they get here." With a nod, the third told the other two to come. "How do you know who we are?" asked Kakashi as they waited. Naruto stated, "Sharingan Hitaki Kakashi, Junin, student of Arashi Kazama. Said to have copied over 1000 jutsu. Only original jutsu the Chidori, hurts like a bitch, summons dogs. Asuma Saratobi, son of the third Hokage wind manipulator and one of the Fire Lord temple guards. Specialty trench knives and hand-to-hand combat. Yuihi Kurenai, Ice Queen of Konoha and a great kisser. Genjutsu mistress. Favorite attack is the Treebind of Death. Age 20. Favorite color is blue and favorite flowers are jasmines. Has a birthmark on her right butt cheek. Previous relationship are with Asuma and Anton, both ended, but you still date Asuma every now and then when you get lonely, but hate his smoking." Kakashi and Asuma were both laughing, and Kurenai was flushed. When they both arrived, Naruto turned over to them and stated, "Ibiki, head of interrogation and torture division of ABNU, specialty, mental torture. Brother Idate who went missing when he was tricked into stealing the Rajon by our current location T country. Anko, apprentice of Orochimaru, summons snakes. Has a cursed seal of earth on her neck. Makes everyone thinks she has a blood fetish, but it's a self-defense to intimidate people. Also a great kisser. Has a tattoo that no one besides her and the person who put it on has seen. It is actually a really well done one. He avoids a kunia." The third laughed and replied, "Okay kid, I don't know who you are and how you know this stuff about us, but you are going to tell us now or I will kill you myself." Naruto laughed and replied, "I am sure all of you have basically the same thought in your mind. Don't worry, I will tell you now, old man. This is for only those in this room, got it?" The third replied with a nod. "As some of you might be able to guess by the marks on my face, I am Naruto Uzumaki, but actually that's not right, is it, old man?" With a sigh, the third replied, "No," Naruto was saying, "Kakashi, you more than anyone in this village should have been able to tell who I really was." Kakashi questioned, "Why is that, Naruto?" Naruto replied, "I am hurt. You would think my own godfather would know me." After a moment of blinking and staring at Naruto, Kakashi's eye grew as large as a silver dollar, and he turned to face the third, saying, "You told me he was dead." Everyone was paying attention to this. "What are you talking about?" Asuma asked. "Look at the picture behind you, Asuma," Naruto said. After glancing at the image, everyone turned back to Naruto after chuckling. Ibiki let out a loud laugh and asked, "Are you saying that?" He uttered the words, "Kazama, Naruto Kazama." Everyone gasped in shock as they realized it. Naruto replied, "Okay. Now that the minor stuff is out of the way, we have a war to prepare for, old man. Did you get Suna like I asked?" "Yes, it cost us a little, but I got her for you. I still don't know why though," the third said, nodding. Naruto stated, "As you all know, the Chunin exams will be held in Konoha this year. During the exams, as long as I have not changed things too much, but with not stopping the Uchiha massacre and my disappearance 7 years ago, everything is pretty much the same. During the exams, Orochimaru himself will infiltrate the village and attack Team 7 under Kakashi and give Uchiha Sasuke a cursed seal of heaven. When the finals of the exam arrive, the Sound Village, which Orochimaru as the Hokage of will attack. Originally it was with the help of Suna. If I did not stop the Kazukage's son Gaara, we would have lost that battle. Ibiki replied, "How do you know all of this and how come you talk in the past tense?" Naruto stated, "Originally at the end of the battle the third was dead. Jiraiya, who trained me after Kakashi abandoned me to a less than adequate teacher, took me as his apprentice and we went and found my grandmother Tsunade to come back to be the Gondiemi Hokage." When Naruto reached a plant and said, "I see you replaced the last one," he then passed through some seals and said, "Growth?" The plant then leapt 3 feet in height. Everyone went pale. Naruto glanced around and replied, "Anyways, with Sasuke already being borderline insane because of his brother, compounded by the fact of the cursed seal and Itachi coming to the village to kidnap me for the Kyuubi, he betrayed the village and left with Orochimaru personal bodyguards Kakashi. I don't care if it kills me and I have to start over. Aegean, you teach that little asshole Chidori Aegean I will shove a futon Rasa Shuriken up you ass." According to Asuma, what is that attack? According to Naruto, the final form of a Rasengan. When Kakashi hit the ground, he uttered the words, "Impossible." Naruto replied, "Not for me, it's a Rasengan with wind manipulation added to it. Anyways, long story short, Sasuke killed me with Chidori Shinigami came to take me, but because Kyuubi had not been in my body long enough he would have been back in 20 years. But the seal," Kakashi said. He was stopped by Naruto, who said, "was designed to give me all of Kyuubi's power over my lifetime. If the villagers had killed me on the day of the sealing, Kyuubi would have returned in less than a year. You're lucky the old man here was so adamant about keeping me alive. Anyways, when the Shinigami came to take me, Kyuubi made a deal. A side effect of the seal was he felt everything I felt, so all the sadness and loneliness changed him. Kyuubi's deal was to give his powers to me and he was unable to finish because Kakashi struck him in the neck and Ibiki had him removed. Hokage, what's the idea of having that demon come into the academy and graduating? I'm sure he is," he said. After everyone had settled down, Naruto stepped back to say, "Sorry, could not let that traitor see me here right now. By the way, Ibiki, you might have a BNU, keep an eye on him. I know originally he had me do it, but since I passed he may use someone else, but he's after the Forbidden Scroll." Orochimaru promised him power. When his teammates suddenly died under mysterious circumstances, he was trying to impress the Hibite me at the time. How well, where was I now? I remember. Kyuubi gave me his powers, and the Shinigami gave me the power of the Phoenix of Legends. Every time I die I am reborn to a day when I was 5 years old and remember everything that happens. I have had a lot of lives learning here in this village and others. If what you said is true, Naruto, then we have to, said the third. There was so much ki that he stopped. Naruto replied, "That is why I did not tell you earlier, old man. If we start preparing, then Orochimaru's spies will find out and tell him. He has several in this village. Even with all my lives I still have not gotten to know all of them. The only course of actions is to set up for certain aspects. He has spies on the council, hospital, this administrative building, the academy, ABNU. Hell, I know Root has alliances with them, but it's next to impossible to prove. Danzo is someone I would love to kill. Anyways, I am sure you all have questions, so I will try to answer." Anko replied, "How do you know so much personal stuff about me?" Naruto replied, "After the first few times of screwing up trying to stop the Uchiha massacre and Orochimaru without much skills, the third of a timeline asked me what I wanted to accomplish as a goal. I shared my objective with you at the time because I wanted you to teach me in the serpent style, which advised me to strive for a happy life. I discovered who my family is, and the third person told me that I would need to resurrect my clan with several wives after I stopped Orochimaru and a few others. According to him, meeting real women who I might want in my life someday should be a side goal. I once provided emotional support to you and Kurama, and we had a brief romantic relationship." "Sound like more than dated," Asuma remarked. "Calm down," Naruto said. "Even though I am familiar with both of these beautiful women, I have never kissed them until I got married. I refuse to go past that point. I am aware of those embarrassing details because you should avoid drinking with someone who is incapable of getting intoxicated." Kurenai replied, "So you know about my birthmark because I got drunk and told you about it?" Naruto replied, "No, actually after Asuma was killed, you got intoxicated, went into labor, and I had to deliver it. I learned about your birthmark that way." According to Anko, "What about me? I know things about you that would make Orochimaru blush if he could and was not gay," Naruto said. "Trembling, I learned a new version of the hidden snake dance, and you wanted to kill me for taking your dango." "Really?" Anko said. Naruto stated, "All I will tell you is that it involved 10 snakes, a pair of white panties and dying with a smile on my face. I don't own white panties, Anko remarked. Whoever said it was your underwear? Naruto remarked. You forced me to watch you and another woman change for 9 hours while you tied me upside down with your snakes in the female ABNU dressing room. I eventually lost my ability to regenerate after suffering so many nosebleeds in that room, says Kakashi. Amateur, Asuma, the third, Ibiki, and Kakashi were flung backwards when Naruto made a sign and said, harem jutsu. 20 nude blonde women then materialized. At least I did it from a real woman. Naruto continued. I can dream about a woman without consulting my grandfather's books, too. Looking at the two women, Naruto realized that was a bad idea, and that the other men were the only thing preventing them from killing him. Kurenai said, so, as Anko grinned evilly, you believe you could make us some of your wives, don't you? Sure Senseiheim, Naruto said as he transformed back into Asuma. Kurenai halted, gazed blankly, and uttered the words, that was you. Naruto stated, you should check for a henge before grabbing guys in ally ways. What is he talking about, Kurenai? Anko asked, glancing at the two. Flames from Naruto steamed across the room. Anko said, blinking, no fucking way. Kurenai said, blinking, what? Anko replied, you remember me talking about the guy in the Forest of Death? I wish they would rename that place. Naruto remarked. I am still alive after 7 years of living there. Kurenai looked up and replied, you meant to tell me the guy who tricked you into a game of cat and mouse and then had you at his mercy and only kissed you before leaving was him. With a grin, Naruto remarked, I learned to make the women I care and respect happy. All of the guys woke up when Ibiki groaned, and the third person said, Naruto, I am classifying that as an S-rank jutsu. A rank, said Naruto. Jutsu that is sexy is a B rank and A rank is in harem jutsu. Orgy is a jutsu of S rank. What's the difference? Asked Anko. Sexy jutsu is just me changing, Naruto remarked. The irony is that I actually do transform into a woman because of Kyuubi will. Whatever clones are used in harem jutsu. Orgy is a version in which both men and women are fighting. Sasuke and Orochimaru are the only individuals I have ever encountered who are immune to it, but it makes no difference because they're gay. According to Kurenai, those jutsu are degrading to women. As you are aware, Naruto stated, they are identical to the advanced female ninja courses that older, single ninja must take. In actuality, I took those classes and have used them to dismantle multiple prostitution rings. Thank you. Kurenai gaped and blinked in an attempt to make a resurgence. Ibiki replied, can you tell us anything we can prepare for? After giving it some thought, Naruto said, a genin named Kabuto. Despite failing the last 6 tests, he is actually more powerful than Kakashi. He is the right-hand man of Orochimaru. Follow him around covertly without telling him. My detection abilities are superior to those of an Inazaka, and his are superior to mine. Additionally, he possesses an advanced healing ability comparable to my demon. Speaking of demons, I should mention that I do possess his abilities, but he has vanished along with the seal. I can hold up to 4 tails of demon chakra for 20 minutes before my body begins to destroy itself. According to my most recent check, old man, if I continue, my body will be severely damaged and I will experience chakra exhaustion. I will experience the same fate and only have instincts if I go any further than that. For now, I've sealed the rest away. However, it will likely take me 8 years to reach the final chakra tail. How strong are you, Naruto? Asked Kakashi. Naruto replied, with or without all the restriction I have on. According to Asuma, explain, Naruto stated, I have gravity seals, chakra seals, physical weights, chakra weights. The sword on my side has about 1 tail's worth of chakra sealed in it that I can draw in battle if I need to. The third person asked, how strong are you with the restriction? As everyone went pale. I could take on Jiraiya and win, declared Naruto. As everyone went even paler, Kakashi uttered the words, without. With an emotionless expression, Naruto declared, the entire Leaf Village and win without using Hiraishin no Jutsu. After a few moments, the third person's color returned, and he asked, how many jutsu do you know, Naruto? 2000 Kaden, 1300 Radon, 900 Doden, 5000 Sweden, 1200 Futon, 600 Medical, and 400 Kenjutsu, Naruto said, closing his eyes. Excluding the 25 Kenjutsu styles I am familiar with and the 40 Taijutsu styles, I am also able to open all 9 gates. I might visit the hidden village in Snow Country and learn some snow and ice jutsu if this opportunity doesn't work out, along with mastering my Sweden and Doden affinity. I also have mastery over my wind affinity. I could only use wind until I activated my bloodline. I am proficient in Kaden and Raiden jutsu, but they severely deplete my chakra. 9. Kakashi remarked, but there are only 8 gates. Yes, in normal people, Naruto remarked, all of the demon chakra in my body enters through the 9th gate because I was once a demon vessel. I have an infinite amount of chakra if I use it, but because I can't turn it off quickly enough to save my life, I would ruin my body in a matter of minutes. How's your genjutsu skills? Asked Kuranai. I can use 10 genjutsu, Naruto declared. My real weakness is that, no matter how hard I try, as long as they are not extremely weak ones, I can identify them. I can't stop my chakra to cancel them. I can use pain or chakra power to stop them. The only issue is that if I pulse my chakra, all genjutsu enemy and Alya within a mile will be cancelled. I can now at least battle Itachi's Sharingan. In response, Kakashi asked, what do you mean? When Kyuubi was teaching me how to use his chakra, he showed me how to control my body with it. You know how he has the final level and how you have to kill your best friend to get it? Naruto said, I can fight him in it because I've been struck by that damn Sharingan genjutsu enough times. And we'll fight for dominance rather than him controlling everything that occurs. Unfortunately, I have only defeated him 5 times out of the last 20 times we have fought. Perhaps it will be 6. Alright, so what are you going to do? The third person asked, massaging his temple. You are clearly Sannin and most likely Kage level. I'm going to move up the ranks normally, Naruto declared. Make some friends, make an effort to save everyone I love, take Orochimaru's life, put an end to 9 S-class criminals, save 5 nations, and start a family. He was regarded as insane by everyone. What? Said Naruto. Wave Country, Snow Country, Tea Country, Ricefield Country, and Waterfall Country are all places I will preserve the 9 S-class criminals. That is, they will pursue me in the same manner that they will pursue Gaara. They want to use the tailed demons to take over the world. Now that I don't have Kyuubi, their plan has failed. But even with just 8 of them, they can still do a ton of damage. He would be a pussy if it weren't for Orochimaru's immortality. Just you. According to Ibiki, immortality, just you. That's why he's coming here. Aside from destroying the Leaf Village and killing the third, Naruto sighed. He desires Sasuke because he has twisted the Heavely power I was given, but instead of traveling back in time, he enters a different body that he controls for a while. He could outspend me thanks to the drugs he injects into the bodies and the curse seal. It will be nearly impossible to stop him if he captures Sasuke before he is strong enough to resist it. Kakashi replied, then why don't we just train Sasuke to be stronger? I'm not talking about physical energy, Naruto stated. In some of my lives, Sasuke was able to take over Orochimaru's soul with the Sharingan's assistance, but only after Orochimaru waited until Sasuke was older than 16. He succeeds if he seizes control. Before then I can't help you because I don't know all the details. During the exams, the only choices are to stop Orochimaru. B. Take Sasuke's life. Either C. Murders Orochimaru before he transforms and obliterates his body, or some of his followers are able to implant his soul into their bodies after he has passed away. D. Murder them both. There is no compromise here. In order to gain power, Sasuke will betray this village. Gaining strength won't make him happy either. He will accept power from anyone who offers it to him because he wants it handed to him. To Iwa, Cloud, Rain, Sound, and even the S-class criminals his brother is a member of. He has betrayed us. If they agreed to train him to kill Itachi, Konoha will never be his home here. He is regarded as a god and desires more. The adage, absolute power corrupts absolutely, is well known. They were discussing Sasuke. After a moment, Naruto sighed and burst out laughing, and Kuranai remarked, what's so funny? I just remembered, Naruto said, in one of my lives, Danzo rebelled and took Tsunade, the cage, as a prisoner by holding her assistant Shizune captive. He also made me leave Konoha after I broke Sasuke's pinky. When we brought him back there, once 5 of our ninjas were killed, 27 were injured, and I was exiled because I broke his pinky when I threw him to the floor of the council chambers. Ironic. I wonder how much this life will be ruined by those jerks. You seem to have everything planned out, Anko remarked. Why is this Suna thing going on? With a sigh, Naruto remarked, as I previously mentioned, Suna initially joined Sound in our attack. Suna was unaware that Jiraiya and I had taught me how to call forth Gambunta and use Kyuubi's power. Had they done so, Gaara would have promptly killed me. You talked about him a lot, Ibiki said. Who exactly is he? Naruto replied, a living weapon, or at least that's what his father wanted when he did it. What are you talking about, Naruto? Asked the third. As you are all aware, I was used for noble purposes to save the village, Naruto said. Gaara did not have the same luck. Shukaku, a one-tailed sand demon, and the soul of a crazy monk were sealed in an urn that one of the council members managed to obtain. While Gaara was still in his mother's womb, the cage had the monk and demon sealed into him. She was killed when she gave birth to Gaara, in contrast to me, who was kept somewhat hidden from the children here. The cage had made Gaara's identity widely known. The personal weapon of the Sands, unfortunately, You are not a good person if you have gone almost 12 years without even getting a day's sleep when they attacked. He was supposed to kill Sasuke and then destroy the leaf. Sasuke hurt him with the Chidori. But it only made him angry. Sasuke was given credit even though I defeated him outside the village. Who wants to view the village's plague as a hero? After giving it some thought, the third asked, then why did you want the arranged marriage to strengthen ties between us? Orochimaru will kill the Kage, declared Naruto. Impede him here during the finals, one way or another. Being by your side during the attack is too convenient. Gaara becomes the new Kage of the sand once things settle down and he loses to me. After that, I'm among the few people he would ever trust. His older sister Temari is one of the 3 people he genuinely cares about. The others are me and Kankuro, his brother. When I see Gaara, I intend to fix his seal in order to remove Shukaku's influence over him. He will become more amiable with me as a result, and since I am from the leaf, he will respect it now that Temari is engaged to me. The only people who would date Temari are either attempting to suck up to Gaara or merely looking to take advantage of her. She is also a nice woman. I genuinely want to see her happy and care for her. Shikamaru is the only other guy in my life who has ever been even remotely decent to her, but they have a love-hate relationship, and he broke up with her after she became pregnant. I was willing to do this because I wouldn't do that to her even without the politics. I would have given it a shot. His response appeared to be accepted by all, and the third person asked, so what do you want to do? Team placements are always the same as they would have been, Naruto stated. Sasuke, Sakura and I are in Kakashi. Kiba, Shino, and Hinata are all part of Kurenai. Kurheim and Hinata is like a delicate egg. She will come out of her shell if you let Anko train her a little, even though you will try to baby her. Just an idea. The following Inishikacho group under Asuma will be the final squad. If possible, train your teams to be faster and more resilient so they are ready for battle. The only training I would recommend to help them become stronger is that and chakra. You have the rest to do. In terms of a mission, my knowledge is limited to Team 7's mission under Kakashi. Old man, give us whatever you want until a C-rank mission to wave arrives. When that happens, I ask for that mission. I might be able to get 2 powerful ninjas to assist us. The third person asked, and who would these 2 be? With a smile, Naruto remarked, the demon of the mist Zabuza and his assistant Haku, who also has a bloodline. I agree to the mission, but I won't agree to the missing nin until I speak to them, the third person stated. However, I will grant them unrestricted leave. That's all I ask, Naruto said. Don't call me Kazama in public, before I forget. Before it's time, I don't want the wrong people to know. Word of the demon's return should be circulating the town right now. It won't have much of an impact on me. I can do my shopping and other things with one of the genjutsu I know. I also won't demonstrate my actual abilities. Kakashi, since I am unable to perform regular bunshins, tree climbing, or water walking, I will use simple henge, replacement, and cage bunshin. I have to go home because it's getting late and I have a novel to finish reading. Naruto, wait, said Kakashi. Where do you reside? Oh, the Forest of Death, said Naruto with a smile. There, I constructed my home. Anko and the elderly man are the only ones who truly go there without permission. CYA. And vanished in a whirlpool of fire. He's joking, right? And what is with that shushin? Kakashi remarked. The third responded, no, actually he asked me to keep everyone except Anko out of there when he approached me at the age of 5 and told me he was coming back. It's where he actually resides. Regarding the shushin, I'm not sure. According to Anko, I just got a new hobby, as Kurenai put it. What's that? He has lived there for 7 years, and in all those years, I have only met him once. Anko stated. I'll track him down in his house. I can help a little, the third person stated. It's not in the South Quadrant. I know that in an attempt to find him following the Uchiha massacre, I personally checked it. I also know he's not in the East Quadrant. Anko remarked. I have 10 square miles to search for him, then. Tell me when you find it, Kurenai said. I want to see it, she said, her eyes evil. I have not seen that look for 7 years now since she came and asked me about calling her Senseiheim, Asuma remarked, leaning over. Well, I got some abnu to order around, Ibiki said as he was leaving. He said, I feel like I'm going to have some people to have fun, I mean torture soon. Is he really related to the Sanins? Kakashi asked, glancing at the third. The third individual replied, truthfully, I don't know, but with that bloodline I say it's a good chance he's related to one of them. Before disappearing in a flurry of leaves, Kakashi nodded and remarked, I am going to have fun with this team. Asuma replied, you know when Tsunade finds out about him, if she is related to her, you're dead right. The third replied, at least thanks to Naruto the last 7 years have been good. With a perplexed expression, Asuma asked, what do you mean? He told me how to do all my paperwork in a fraction of the time, the third person said, laughing. According to Asuma, Really? How? Third, Kage Bunshin. When he got up, Asuma said, "That's so simple, I wonder how you never thought of that before." "Rub it in. Why don't you?" said the third with a laugh. Asuma walked away. With a sigh, the third asked, "So what do you both want?" According to Kurenai, answers, "I'm getting too old for this shit." The third sighed, "Excellent, I'll respond as best I can." The investigation continued into the night after both women nodded. A certain blonde sneezed every few seconds in the forest of death. The following day at the academy, everyone was waiting for Iruka to enter the room. While some were interested in other people, most of the fangirls in the class were busy staring at Sasuke and Naruto. Sasuke was there because he was the last Uchiha, and Naruto was there because he was a mystery and had the whole badass swordsman look about him, which helped that no one really knew that he was a badass swordsman. His appearance today was different from his previous appearance. He was wearing black pants, his sword, and a black vest that was unbuttoned. With a blue sash around his waist to conceal the seal, he had a black wrist guard on each hand, and the seals were still on each hand, reminiscent of Vaughn from Final Fantasy XII. I would go into his thoughts, but since they are a broken record, I would only play them once. I must get stronger to kill him. I am an Avenger. No one is better than an Uchiha. I bet he is weak. Cute ass. Okay. I need to stop there. Sasuke was staring at Naruto out of the corner of his eye every time his fangirls took a moment's break. Although they were unaware of it, Naruto was sitting in the back of the class, mentally assessing each of his 9 rookies. He was wearing a pair of black pilot-style sunglasses, and if you looked into his eyes, all you saw was your reflection, leading his new fan club to believe he was staring at them. Lazy, family-style jutsu, weak taijutsu, Shikamaru genius. Food expert, family jutsu, weak genjutsu, and choji powerhouse. Bisexual, nice body, bad kisser, weak nin and taijutsu, Ino fangirl, and family jutsu. Weak taijutsu, family jutsu, and Shino genius kinky, low self-esteem, family jutsu, weak ninjutsu, Hinata bloodline, and controlative possessive disorder. Weak genjutsu, family jutsu, and Kiba hidden sense. I killed myself after kissing her and seeing her naked because I couldn't even touch her. What the hell did I ever see in her anyway? Sakura fangirl, weak nin and taijutsu, multiple personalities, great medical if trained, sucks in relationships. Psychotic, weak in sealless jutsu and other bloodlines, and weak in genjutsu Sharingan. Sasuke must die because he cancels them out if he has them on. Maybe I dated those 3, but thank God I never slept with them. Naruto sighed. Ino is willing to expose her entire body in order to attract a bisexual man. Hinata wants to take charge of everything and shackle you. In fact, she made an effort to advise me when to use the restroom. Actually, Sakura's large forehead is a good thing. The genjutsu on her body would have been visible to anyone who would have dared to look. Puberty hit her hard in other places, and her breasts never developed to hold a twice-monthly meeting. It makes sense why she is constantly unhappy in my mind. I would commit suicide if I ever dated any of them again. Anko was correct when she advised me to get to know the women I might want to live with for the rest of my life. Ino approached Naruto and said, "Hi, I'm Ino," jolting him out of his reverie. After giving it some thought, Naruto remarked, "I bet I can tell you nearly everything about you, Ino. Even though I just met you, would you please grant me one request, if I may?" Ino, flushed, said, "Anything. You work in a flower shop, you love lilacs, you like Sasuke, but you also like girls," Naruto said. "You want to find a guy who would like girls and guys too, and you want to make your parents look bad by turning your family business into an Icha store. You have the whole collection in your closet under the floorboards. Am I correct on the majority of it?" Naruto chose to give Ino some leeway, saying, "If I am correct on at least one thing, then I also know things about others like that." Ino was flushed with shame as the entire class stared at them. "If so, you should use the list I've provided to find your true soulmate. I'm asking you to go through this list. Date each of the 5 names at least once, and make it a real date. You can't refuse to date them because of their age, weight, or appearance, and you can't call them Sasuke or compare the date to Sasuke." Deal. Holding out a folded over list. "I assure you that one of these is your soulmate." After glancing at it, Naruto, and the list, Ino turned to face Sasuke and said, "Deal." She then grabbed the list. "Remember, you have to give each person a real chance," Naruto said, grabbing her arm. "Since I can guarantee that I will be working with Sasuke, I will let him know if you don't keep your word. You don't want him to think you're lying if you truly like him," and let her go, forcing her to approach and take a seat. "That was problematic," Shikamaru remarked. "You never met her before and set her up for success. You probably even paired her with the biggest losers in the world. It's really annoying." "Shikamaru, I was wondering, would you go with me tonight on a date?" Ino said, stuttering, as he approached. I would hate you, but it is too troublesome to actually think of getting revenge, Shikamaru said, his eyes growing as large as a silver dollar before he reverted to his lazy ways and turned to face Naruto. I'll pick you up at 6, Ino. With her jaw agape, Sakura uttered, take that Anapig, love conquers all. Stop trying to make yourself look good, Sakura. A vein on Naruto's head said you will be harassed by your inner Sakura if you don't have a date later. Sakura was pale and sat down, leaving everyone to wonder what he was talking about, while Ino stared at Naruto, wondering what he meant. Taking a deep breath, Naruto said, hey Kiba, do me a favor. After glancing at him, Kiba asked, why should I do you a favor and how do you know our names and so much about Ino? I heard all of your names yesterday during the testing, so I know a lot about Ino because I heard about her family business in town. The only other thing I know about her that might or might not be true is that I can read people like a book. Naruto said I'll owe you a favor later, so that's why you should do me one. I was only going to ask you to deliver a scroll to your team sensei. After all, on my way here, I was instructed to give it to her, but I was too busy. Shikamaru replied, how do you know what teams we are going to be on and who our senseis are? Naruto stated, information gathering is important for a ninja, but truthfully I saw the list earlier when I was at the Hokage's office finalizing my ninja status and getting my picture taken for the records. Shikamaru said, difficult. I believe that list was only visible to me. Alright, Kiba said, I'll bring you this scroll in any case. Who was it from? All I remember about the guy is that his last name began with a K. Naruto remarked. He said it was an apology for something, and he didn't want to hurt her feelings if he didn't see her again because he didn't know if he would have the opportunity to tell her in person. Alright, Kiba said, in any case, I would like to request that favor now. As Naruto put it, alright, Kiba replied, since we know nothing about you, tell us about yourself. Alright, said Naruto. I'm Naruto, a seal master who has lived and trained outside of Konoha since I was 5 years old. I'm the same age as all of you. I am one of the last members of my clan and am engaged to a woman I have not yet met. As Shikamaru put it, I had never heard of a clan called Uzumaki before. That's not my real name, Naruto stated. It was altered to shield me until I gained the strength to assert my true name. Although I won't reveal its exact identity, I will say that it was one of the original clans of Konoha. Iruka's is here, so let's get to know our teams. Thanks for the favors, Kiba, he said, leaning back with his feet propped up on the desk and waiting. Okay, I want to congratulate all of you, Iruka said as she entered. As Naruto held up his hand, Iruka exclaimed, yes, what is it, Naruto? Naruto replied, where is Mizuki-sensei? I was sure he would be here today. Mizuki is no longer with us, Iruka stated. Last night, he was apprehended breaking into the Hokage's office. He was apparently planning to leave the village. Iruka sighed and remarked, as I mentioned, being a ninja is not an easy life, to which Naruto grinned to himself. There will be a lot of challenges ahead, and some of you might not be prepared anyway. Good luck. These are the teams. Sakura leapt to speak, but was stopped by Team 7 Sasuke, Sakura, and Sakura, please stop insulting people, Naruto said. Our teamwork needs to be improved. After giving him a fierce look, Sakura remarked, I bet we are not even on the same team. Sasuke, Sakura, and I are on Team 7 under Sharingan Kakashi, Naruto stated. Kiba, Shino, and Hinata are on Team 8 under Genjutsu Mistress Kurenai, and Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji are on Team 10 under Knight of the Firelord. Asuma is Iruka-sensei, correct? After glancing at the list, Iruka remarked, yes, but how? Naruto replied, like I told everyone earlier, I saw the list when I was getting my ninja status finalized and had my picture taken. Iruka responded, yeah, I may not have liked that Sakura and Naruto interrupted me, but he did complete my tasks for me, and I must admit that he had a valid point as well. Don't disparage people who might be on your team because you do need teamwork. I'd like to wish you luck one last time. Your senses will arrive soon. Naruto shouted, Iruka. As Iruka turned to go, Iruka said, what is it? After he threw a scroll, saying, I have something for you. I noticed that you had a lot of paperwork that needed to be filled out last night when I was strolling through the village. Naruto remarked that jutsu is useful for paperwork. It can do other things, but you will understand if you read the entire description. That will save me a lot of time on paperwork, Iruka said, nodding as he opened it and read it with a broad smile. Regards, Naruto. Where did you find out? Even though it requires a lot of chakra, it will at least cut your paperwork time in half, Naruto stated. I got it from one of my father's scrolls that he left me. Leaf ninja are required to watch out for each other, correct? We wouldn't be superior to monsters and demons if we didn't. Kindness is, after all, a component of humanity. After a moment of paleness, Iruka grinned and remarked, I was right, "Naruto, you are a good person. Thank you," and left the room. "What was that jutsu you gave him?" asked Sasuke Adobe. "I am not Adobe. I am on par with you and everyone else in this room," Naruto declared. "Now we're all elite ninjas, they're all on par with Genin. It makes no difference what our last name is, who we are related to, or what clan we belong to. We must watch out for one another in both combat and daily life. Because of that, we are family." Kage Bunshin is the jutsu in question. "You do know that's a Junin technique, right?" Shikamaru asked. "Yes, I am aware of that, but it's just that you have to use the chakra," Naruto said. "It could kill you if you use it carelessly. However, a Chunin should be safe if he only makes one or two and doesn't use it in combat, and each time he uses it, it will be simpler the next time." "I don't need assistance," Sasuke declared. "In any case, I am stronger than you all." Naruto replied, "Then if me and anyone in this room got together, you could defeat us." "Easily," said Sasuke. Naruto replied, "Who do you think is the weakest person here?" Sasuke. "According to Sasuke, probably you," Naruto replied. "Pick someone to team up with me and I bet we could beat you in less than a minute." With a sly smile, Sasuke said, "Choji." With a sly smile, Naruto asked, "Who has a watch?" "I do," Kiba replied. "You time us and tell us to start," Naruto remarked. "Come on over, Choji." Choji stood up and approached Naruto, who remarked, "Calm down, we can defeat him with ease if we work together. I want you to charge him with a kunai. Don't be afraid to hit him or anything. I'll finish the rest. The secret to success is teamwork." After giving Kiba a quick glance and nodding, Choji said, "Ready." Sasuke assumed a fighting stance and said, "Bring it." Naruto simply shook his head. Sasuke smirked and began to form hand seals when Kiba said, "Begin." However, something grabbed his leg, preventing him from moving and forcing him to block Choji's strike with a kunai. He was still unable to see what was holding him while defending himself, and then he felt a kunai on his neck. "Time," said Naruto after checking the timepiece. Kiba uttered the words, 29 seconds. "Choji did a good job," Naruto said. "A single enemy can nearly always be defeated by teamwork," and began to make his way to his seat. "How did you hold me in place?" asked Sasuke after he looked down and saw nothing holding him. Naruto was saying, "I had a Kage Bunshin hold you, and since you could not stop defending against Choji to look and destroy the Kage Bunshin, I simply walked around you and applied the finish to end the match." "You beat him with ninjutsu," Sakura remarked. "That is dishonest." "As Ninja Sakura, we do everything in our power to prevail," Naruto declared. "What do you think his hand seals would have been if he had been using ninjutsu? You must know other things to win, because an enemy won't always let you form hand seals. I never used a hand sign. As you can see, it's not because the jutsu is sealless, it's because I've gotten so good at it that I no longer require the seals. Keep your eyes on the Sakura underneath." We would have severed Sasuke's eyes and sold them to a different village if that had really been a battle. As everyone gasped, Sakura uttered the words, "You would do that?" "Yes," said Naruto. "If I were an enemy, you can inquire about it with Hinata up there." When she was 4 years old, the Cloud Village had already attempted to do that. No matter who you were or where you were in the class, of whether you were the dead last or the rookie of the year, an enemy doesn't care. Killing you and finishing their mission so they can get paid is all that matters to them. How much someone is willing to pay to kill us is the only value that any of our lives have. Remember that, he said, and he took a seat. Everyone turned when they heard clapping and saw a man smoking a cigarette and a woman with red eyes. The man said, "He's right about everything," he said. "This is Kurenai, and my name is Asuma. Come on, Team 8 and 10, he said, and began to walk away. Naruto said, "Kiba, don't forget the favor," as both teams stood up to depart. Kiba replied, "I want, but we are going to have to spar sometime." "Yes," Naruto replied. As they left, they said, "Good luck." Sakura and Sasuke were amazed when they saw that it was just Team 7 and Naruto's side before creating 10 Kage Bunshin and sending them running up and down the walls. "Why and how are you doing that, Naruto?" Sakura asked. "Anything a Kage Bunshin learns, the original learns as well," Naruto remarked. "I made the decision to perform some chakra control exercises because Kakashi is always late. Tree climbing is the basis for this one." According to Sasuke, everyone knows how to climb trees. Dobi. According to Sakura, I already have perfect chakra control. While performing push-ups with his legs in an Indian style upside down, Naruto threw 2 kunais into the wall, walked up the wall, and then, with his eyes closed, walked around the 2 kunais and began standing on them with his index finger. The 2 kunais began to sweat. Sakura tried to persuade Sasuke to take her out on a date, but he ignored her and she would glance at Naruto, who was still working out. As Kiba said, "Kurenai sensei," he was trailing his team and Team 10 out of the building. "I was asked to give you this," she said, displaying the scroll. When everyone halted, Kurenai grasped it and exclaimed, "What is this, Kiba?" "I really don't know myself," Kiba said. Naruto claimed that someone with a last name that began with the letter K asked him to give it to you as an apology or something. He claimed to have noticed the division of our teams and asked me to deliver it because he didn't think he could. After glancing at Asuma, who simply shrugged his shoulders, Kurenai sighed and opened the scroll when she saw a blue fox holding a card with 24 jasmine flowers and a box of chocolates. Kurenai blushed and opened the card to read it. "Senseiheim, I apologize if I went too far, and I hope we can still have a relationship, whether it be as friends, co-workers, or something else entirely. Even though we may have had a life together in the past, it is not always the same. Every experience in life reveals who and what we are. I may only know you for a day out of hundreds of lifetimes, but I will never know everything about you. Warm regards, Kazama." After reading it, smelling the flowers, and blushing, Kurenai said, "Thank you, Kiba, for bringing this to me. I'll also thank Naruto when I have a chance. We need to focus on other matters now." "According to Asuma, from your friend from last night." Nodding, Kurenai remarked, "Yes, I must thank him personally." "Anko figure out where he lives yet?" Asuma said, nodding. "Have you heard any explosions yet?" asked Kurenai. "I take that as a no," Asuma said. "Perhaps I ought to speak with him." According to Kurenai, "You will do no such thing." According to Asuma, "But, what about us? There isn't us right now," Kurenai said. "Additionally, there is no me in him. Not that there won't be, but I want to get to know him better first." Asuma, "Ulozi is not your style." "He is about 8 years younger than him," Asuma remarked. Kurenai remarked, "I am old enough to decide this on my own, and I am 4 years younger than you. Furthermore, in his case, age is not a significant factor. In addition, his eyes are my favorite hue." "I guess you're right," Asuma sighed. "Just swear to me that I'll go slowly." Asuma, "I did not know you cared," Kurenai remarked. "Women," Asuma said, "cannot take a kunia away from them or live with them." "Who are you both talking about?" Kiba asked. Asuma replied, "Probably the strongest ninja in the village. According to Ino, the Hokage." "No, not him," Kurenai said. "In any case, let's finish the testing as well as our team meetings." As they divided into individual teams, everyone appeared perplexed. Naruto, back with Team 7, sneezes. Sakura asked, "How late is this Kakashi going to be?" as she glanced at the wall clock. As he continued his exercise with his eyes closed, Naruto asked, "How long has it been so far?" Sakura asked, "Why 2 hours?" According to Naruto, about another hour. Sasuke questioned, "How do you know this Kakashi?" After learning which teams they were on, "I tried to learn as much as I could about them," Naruto stated. "Kakashi is well known." Did you call him Sharingan Kakashi?" asked Sasuke. "He is not Uchiha, and he has a Sharingan in one of his eyes," Naruto remarked. "He lost his eye, and it was implanted. He has one, though I'm not sure how or from whom. He is credited with copying more than 1,000 jutsu." However, Naruto was thinking, "I will actually be surprised if he knows one that I don't besides Chidori. We could only hope he teaches us some of them." Naruto sighed and asked, "Sakura, why did you become a ninja?" Sasuke simply HMPD. Sakura replied, "For someone who seems to know everything, you don't know that." "I apologize. I was attempting to be amiable and a teammate," Naruto said. "To impress Sasuke and outshine your rival Ino, who was also planning to become a ninja, you turned into a ninja. You think Sasuke will protect you from any enemies who attack us because you are the first woman in your family to ever be a ninja. Please respond." Sakura, "We are attacked by 20 adversaries. 5 ninja are up against me. 5 ninja are up against Kakashi. And 5 ninja who are at least Chunin or higher are up against Sasuke, who will battle the final 5 adversaries." Sakura replied, "That won't happen until we get stronger, so I don't have to worry about that. Over 60 genin have died in the last 10 years. Thinking the same thing, Sakura, Naruto stated, "Would you rather take the time to genuinely attempt to improve your skills, or are you certain you want to stake your entire life on that belief?" Even though he detested using a girl's lust for the traitor, you might be able to prove to Sasuke that you are stronger than he believes you are, and he might even decide to date you. Sakura sat quietly, reflecting on Naruto's words. After a brief period of silence, Naruto exclaimed, "What the hell?" and leapt off the wall, landing on his feet and turning to face the door. Sakura and Sasuke both turned to face him, and Sakura exclaimed, "What?" "He's early," Naruto said, and then Kakashi entered through the open door. "You're not late," Naruto said. Sakura replied, "Yes, he is," as Kakashi grinned. "He's been late for 2 hours. After giving her a quick glance, Naruto said, "Never mind taking out the 2 kuniyas." He walked to the wall and asked, "So, what are your initial thoughts of us?" With a smile, Kakashi remarked, My initial thought is, I despise you, he said, grinning behind his mask. Kakashi vanished in a whirl of leaves after saying, meet on the roof. Sasuke and Sakura were perplexed when Naruto vanished in a whirlpool of flames. What's the deal, Kakashi? Said Naruto as he climbed up there. Unless someone threatens you, you're never early. Leave a cage bun Shin and go see the Hokage, Kakashi said. With a nod, Naruto made one and headed to the Hokage office. The scene that greeted Naruto upon his arrival in the Hokage office in a whirl of flames was not what he had anticipated, not at all. Pardon the interruption, Hokage-sama. Kazekage-sama. Kakashi-sensei said you needed my presence, Naruto said, glancing at the crowd. Yes, Naruto-san, the Kazekage has come today to discuss the arrangements of the alliance, the third said, grinning at the show of respect. Naruto bowed to the two cages and nodded, saying, I understand, sir. What is it you need of me, sir? The Kazekage responded, I have heard some interesting things about you, Naruto-san, but I was not told what I truly wanted to know, so perhaps since the third stated that only you could answer my question as the current head of your clan, even though you are yet of age, you have to distribute the info. Naruto nodded and continued, I suppose I would be honored to answer what I can without revealing clan secrets. I request that since you obviously have many questions and it will take time to answers, we drop the formalities of positions for the time being, and since I don't like to repeat myself, I also request that your 3 children who are outside in the lobby be allowed to listen in. Seeing if everything goes as I believe they will have access to my clan knowledge as well. I have no problem with dropping the formality, but I do request how you knew my 3 children were here, the Kazekage said, glancing at Naruto. Naruto replied, simple. I have enhanced senses and can detect the family trait in yourself and the 3 in the lobby. After giving a nod, the Kazekage said, allow me to get them. He then went outside to the lobby and shut the door. Quick, did you say I requested it or you requested the marriage? Asked Naruto after he left. The third said, I did. Why? Naruto opened his mouth to say something, but the Kazekage, 2 boys, and a girl entered. With the exception of Gaara, all of the children bowed when the Kazekage said, Hokage-sama, Naruto-san, I would like to introduce my children, my eldest child Temari, Kankuro, and Gaara. It's a pleasure to meet you all, Naruto said as he approached, kissed Temari's hand, and shook Kankuro's before turning to face Gaara and the Kazekage. Temari and Kankuro attempted to stop him, but Naruto surprised them all by giving Gaara a hug. How? Said Temari. Naruto turned to face the Kazekage and the S and SIBS and remarked, Shukaku can't hurt me, my bloodline stops the demon inside him. Pale, the Kazekage asked, how do you know this and what is your bloodline? Naruto went to the window and sat down to admire them as he said, perhaps I should tell you my name and who I really am so that we can get things off on the right foot. My real name is Naruto Kazama, son of Arashi Kazama. As for what bloodline I have the bloodline of the first Hokage, as I am also one of his descendants. For my own safety I had my real name hidden until I was able to protect myself, which I currently can, but I won't take my real name until the day of my marriage. The name I go by now is Naruto Uzumaki. Kankuro replied, that still does not explain how you knew about Gaara. Naruto replied, quick history lesson boys and lovely lady. What was the event of the Yondaime Hokage, my father's death? After giving it some thought, the Kazekage uttered the words, the Kyuubi attack. Naruto replied, based on your own experience from your son there, think about what you actually know and what is public knowledge. After giving it some thought, the Kazekage turned to face Naruto, who remarked, I think you understand now. He sealed it inside you, didn't he? The Kazekage asked. Naruto replied, correct, but the story does not end there. Because of my family bloodline I was able to absorb it all. I should also tell you whoever did his sealing was an idiot. Gaara will die in less than 10 years unless someone fixes his seal. I could do it if you would like. The Kazekage replied, how can you claim that his seal is going to kill him in less than 10 years if you did not see it? Naruto stated, when I hugged Gaara his armor of sand parted at the seal enough for me to see it. Being a seal master myself, Bekwase of fear from Kyuubi, I can make or break seals better than almost anyone in the 5 shinobi countries. Why should we trust you? Asked Temari. Naruto replied, simple, I know the pain of loneliness having a demon sealed into you can, cause I don't wish that on anyone. If I can make his life better than I have to offer, especially on the chance we might be family soon. What would happen if you fixed his seal? Asked the Kazekage. Naruto replied, you have 2 options. He has a simple 3-star seal on it with a berserker seal over it. I can either put another 3-star seal on it, but Gaara would still suffer from the mental trauma of Shukaku and the berserker seal, or I could put on 2 4-star seals which would shut the raccoon up and allow Gaara to sleep. He would still have his ability to use sand and it could pass down to his children, but he would have to work on his control for about a month, but it might actually be better than it is now, to get it back up to speed. Both options have benefits and setbacks. Either he still can't sleep and has his normal control but be in a state of insanity the longer it goes, or he can sleep and become calmer but he would have to work on his control. Your choice, but I would do it within the next year, or the seal may degrade to a point where you will eventually have to seal all of his powers or release the demon and Gaara dies. The Kazekage asked, "What guarantees can you provide that you can do this?" after Temari had turned to face her brother. Naruto stated, "If I can't deliver what I promise, I will submit my life to your family." Naruto, "You can't do that, you're the last of your family bloodline," and said the third, who had thus far remained silent. Naruto replied, "Since the council does not know of the situation yet, then they can't object." Knowing that Naruto had him there, the third swore to himself. Naruto stated, "I can do the sealing at my home and all of you can be present. Gaara will pass out after the sealing for at least a half a day from being so long without sleep." After a brief period of silence, the Kazekage said, "Let me think about this while we talk about the wedding's proposal." For the third, the answer was, "Yes, that would be best." The Kazekage stated, "We were promised in exchange for this, then we would receive 10A rank jutsu, 15B rank jutsu and 20C rank jutsu, as well as a percentage of missions." The third individual replied, "Yes, that is what was agreed on, but the percentage of missions and the exact details of the wedding have yet to be decided. I request 20% of all mission pays for the next 5 years, the Kazekage declared. Naruto replied, "Pardon the interruption, but I have a better proposal that would be beneficial to all parties involved." In response to everyone's attention, the Kazekage said, "Proceed then." Naruto replied, "Before I give my proposal, I would like just an estimated guess to a question answer by you, Kazekage." In response, the Kazekage said, "Very well, if I can." Naruto replied, "What would the average of total yearly pay be for the village of Suna for the last 3 years?" According to the Kazekage, that is sensitive information. Naruto replied, "I understand, allow me to rephrase my question, is it less than $15 million a year?" According to the Kazekage, perhaps more or less. Naruto replied, "Fair enough. I respect your secrecy of the info. Here is my offer. I am willing to pay 15 million to Suna for the next 5 years out of my own money plus a total of 10 jutsu, only as an agreement. There are some stipulations though, I do request." When the Kazekage said, "Proceed. I want Temari to have the freedom to choose whether or not she wants this wedding, and I will grant her permission to visit Konoha once a month until the Chunin exams so that she and I can get to know one another. In exchange, I will give her the first 15 million after the Chunin exams. I don't want her to feel like I'm buying her, and she's a bargaining chip. I can already tell she has a strong spirit, and I want her to maintain that," Naruto said. "The second condition is that Suna and Konoha not attack one another. I have heard from a source that an enemy of Konoha is planning to try to break the alliance between Konoha and another country. I am not sure which countries are involved, but the man who told me is a trusted friend. I don't have to worry because I don't think Suna would do it. But I've learned long ago to make sure everything is taken into consideration. I haven't told the Hokage yet because I don't have any proof of this. I apologize, Hokage-sama." Realizing what Naruto was doing, the Hokage said, "I understand, but I would like for your source to let me know if he hears any more, whether it is concrete or not." Naruto replied, "Very well, if another country comes to you and offers to break our alliance or attack us, we request that you notify us within 10 days and we will also should the roles be reversed." "That is reasonable. What else?" said the Kazekage. Naruto stated, "Since I am the last heir of my clan, when it becomes public knowledge I will have to have more than one wife. Temari has to realize that in advance if she agrees. Another stipulation is I have received information about a group of S-class missing nin that are after the tailed demons. Any and all information either country gets on them must be shared. I do not know who they all are, but I do know 2 Sasori of the Red Sand and Uchiha Itachi." The Kazekage replied, "I have no information on this group, but we would appreciate any info you can provide." Naruto stated, "It will take me a few days, but I can make sure Temari has it when she returns from her first visit. I do have one bit of info on Sasori that you want like though." "What is that?" asked the Kazekage. Naruto replied, "You know how he makes human puppets, right? He has one that makes him very dangerous. Your predecessor, the one who went missing, and can use the iron sand." According to the Kazekage, "Are you sure of this?" Naruto replied, "Yes, I seen it about 3 years ago when he used it. Seeing as he is the only person I have ever heard of using iron sand means it was the Kazekage and he was human puppet and the man with Sasori called him that." "I will let my people know. What else?" the Kazekage said. Naruto stated, "I have not talked this over with the Hokage, but I think if both councils would agree that one team out of every genin class that passes will be trained by the other village as a sign of mutual trust. That is all I can think of. Besides, both Tamari and I will be considered a ninja of both villages after the marriage. If she agrees, I do request, since the only people who know I no longer have the demon in me are in this room and 5 others. You must not tell anyone about it until myself and the Hokage announces that. The Kage responded, that is an interesting deal, and I have a few stipulations myself, but I would like to know how you are planning on paying this if we agree. Naruto stated, I left the village at the age of 5 and traveled and trained in secret. During my travels I made some business adventures with money I made from odd and end jobs without touching my family's money and doing any missions I receive in over $6 million a year in revenue just from being a silent partner. Everyone's attention was drawn to that. According to the Hokage, what investments? Naruto stated, I made some money and bought Jirai, a publisher. He does not know it. With a pale face, the third said, you bought that publisher? Says the Kage. What publisher, are you shitting me? The Kage asked after the third pulled out a book and threw it to him. Naruto replied, nope. Anyways, do we have a deal? A certain broody Uchiha will probably kill my teammate before I get back, and we just were assigned teams today. Actually, never mind, the meeting just ended. After everyone had turned to watch him, he remarked, I left a Kage Bunshin so I did not miss anything with my team. May I have a word with my children in private? Asked the Kage. My offer to fix Gaara's seal is good whether you accept the deal or not. Naruto nodded before approaching the Hokage. The Hokage replied, the room to your right is a private conference room I sometimes use. You can go in there and talk. With a nod, the Kage entered the room, followed by his 3 children. The Hokage muttered, what were you thinking, Naruto, telling him so much, as the door closed? Naruto stated, when I showed them I could get through Gaara's sand defense without being killed, I scared them. The sand should have killed me, but it did not. As for what I said about the plant, you and me both know it is a lie, and the real reason Kyuubi is gone is a lie. As for the jutsu being promised, none of them are leaf jutsu, so nobody can say anything about that, and because of a deal Kyuubi taught me, I have more money in dimensional storage than I can ever hope to use. I really do own the publisher and a few other things, but that is to legitimize all the money I have. I laid a careful trap. If he accepts the deal a few weeks from now, he will either come and tell us about Orochimaru or he will betray us. Gaara will do anything to shut that damn raccoon up, even kill his father if he gets in the way. I did not give enough info for them to know we know anything, and gave him a way to save his village. It's time to see if he deserves to be Kage. The third grumbled, I wish you would talk this over with me before you do this. I am a Kage after all. Also, what's this about showing them your home? Naruto stated, I have built a safe house I can use and was going to show them in my real house no one can find unless they know where to look. At that moment, the door opened and Asuma entered, followed by Kurenai, Kakashi, and a bruised-looking Anko. After glancing at her, Naruto remarked, tried to find my house, huh? Anko replied, shut up Gaki, I should have known you had traps set up in there to protect you house. Yes, you should. A kid as talented as Naruto here should be able to come up with some interesting traps, being a seal master and all, a voice from behind the Junins said. The Kage's crossed arms were visible to the Junins as they turned. A slightly older girl than Naruto, sporting a fan on her back, exudes anger. A red-headed boy who appeared to be straining, and a boy wearing makeup who was observing his father and brother. Kage-sama, let me introduce some of the Leaf's finest: Hitaki Kakashi, Yuichi Kurenai, Mitarashi Anko, and Asuma Saratobi. This is the Kage and his family: Tamari, Kankuro, and Gaara, Naruto said, bowing and panting a little as if he had run for miles. These are the 4 of the 5 I told you who knew about me not possessing Kyuubi. I trust them each with my life and trust, Naruto said as the Junins bowed. The Junins did not express their respect for the person in the room, but they could not help but feel it after hearing Naruto's words. They were also concerned because he was acting worn out. They were concerned because the boy with the red hair was also panting. The Kage nodded and continued, I have discussed it with my family and we are very interested in your proposal. I request that Tamari visit 1 week every 2 months since the Chunin exams are only 5 months away and her brothers both need to prepare. When she returns she will be with her brothers this time, so you can fix that problem. Also, you should know that I agree to your secret, except if you make it to the finals of the exam you must use your true name. I want my daughter's suitor to be known for who he is, not a lie. Naruto replied, I understand and agree, but my true name must remain a secret until that time. If Tamari decides she is in favor of this, then she is the one who will announce it first, as not to bind her to this deal should she not wish this. After saying, fine until we meet Aegean, a pleasure as always Hokage, the Kage left the room with his kids in tow. Naruto dropped to his knees after waiting until they had left the room. Everyone yelled his name or gasped. After gasping for air, Naruto eventually got to his feet. What happened? The Hokage inquired. As Naruto put it, Damn raccoon and that fucking bastard. According to Asuma, what do you mean, Naruto said, the red-head boy. He's the vessel of the raccoon demon Shukaku. Even with Gaara fighting it, he was wanting to kill us all back there. I was having to channel energy into this room to keep the cage from figuring out there is a limit to how I can control the demon. I could not remove the blockers I have on without having half the village bursting in here. I bet the fucking bastard actually had Gaara releasing the demon some to test me. That's why I was panting. Kakashi questioned, what exactly was that about? Naruto sat down in a chair and said, when I first came back I asked the old man here to arrange a political marriage with the Kage's daughter and me. I never intend to force her into it. That's why I made those stipulations where it would be by her choice. When they arrived today I had a plan set up in case something like this comes, so I already knew what I was going to say. I bribed the bastard, pure and simple. The sage replied, let's not forget you intimidated him and also hinted we knew about someone wanting to break relations with us and our allies somewhat. Also you're making yourself a slave was quite an act. Kurenai and Anko exclaimed. What? Naruto stated, the bastard is afraid of losing his village's secret weapon. Sure, the side of him that as a father would like to fix Gaara's problem, but the asshole never was a good father, so I offered him something to tempt his ego. The only person who has the power of a demon, should the sealing go wrong, then he would still have his so-called weapon. Are you sure you can do the sealing? Asked the third. Everyone paled at the prospect when Naruto said, have before I know enough about sealing to be a seal master. I lived enough times. I can make the seal that held Kyuubi look weak if I wanted to. Did you really have to call me that during the team meeting? Naruto asked, glancing at Kakashi. Yes, it's not like you can do anything to get even with me though, Kakashi said, raising his head from his book. According to Anko, what he calls you Gaki, Naruto replied, bleach blonde dead last. And Kakashi, you underestimated me Aegean. According to Kakashi, why is that? Naruto replied, I can make that book of yours not be released in Konoha if I wanted. As Kurenai put it, really? How? According to the third, Naruto, you would do that. Says Naruto. I will if he does that. Aegean, perceiving it as a bluff, Kakashi asked, how can you be sure you can do that? Naruto replied, like I told the Kage over the past few years I have made some investment and I bought a few companies. One such company is the publisher of that book, pervert. Pale, Kakashi uttered, you're kidding, right? After giving Anko a sly smile, Naruto remarked, Anko, my house is not on the ground. So what do we do now? Asked the third. Naruto replied, proceed as planned for now. When Temari comes for her visits make sure my team only has D-rank missions so I can talk to her and get to know her and me. If the council wants to know why you're letting me escort her around town, say that her father requested it. You have no idea why. Also better start planning on announcing my real name when the time comes. After the third gave a nod, Naruto asked, is that all? After saying, I think Kurenai has something to say, Asuma was elbowed in the stomach. When Kurenai struck him, everyone turned to stare at her, and she said, I do need to say something but later I need to gather my thoughts. CYA tomorrow. Then Kakashi have fun? Naruto nodded before vanishing in a whirlpool of flames. Following Naruto's departure, everyone exchanged glances before the third person asked, so what are you here for anyways? Kakashi replied, I was coming to tell Naruto when and where to meet tomorrow, but I guess he knows the secret of Kage Bunshin's. Asuma replied, Kurenai and I have already tested our teams and they passed, so we just came to turn in the paperwork. Anko, who appeared to have gone through hell, stated, I saw Kakashi and he said Gaki was here, so I came to talk to him to see if I could get any more info on where his house is. I believe it is in the western section furthest away from the village because that is where the traps I encountered were. The third person asked, what kind of traps? Anko stated, anyone who did not know his way around would die if they tried to get through it. I lost 9 summons and triggered nearly 200 traps in a 100-yard range. Whistling, Asuma remarked, I'm glad he's on our side. According to Kurenai, I just hope the village does not do something to get us on his bad side. Imagine the ETH and destruction that he could cause. As everyone began to depart, the third nodded and said, okay, let's call it a day. Thanks to our visitor I am behind on paperwork so I need to get to work. He appeared busy. He used his Icha Paradise to create 3 Kage Bunshins to handle the paperwork after they left. Anko remarked, I'm hungry. You all want to come and get some dango, as the 4 Junins left the Hokage office. The Kurenai replied, sure. Asuma replied, why not, don't have anything else planned. Yes, Kakashi replied, I don't really have to wake up early for anything. Anko nodded and headed for Rig Tag, her favorite dango stand. It took them only a few minutes to reach the stand, but what they found there was different from what they had anticipated. The sign outside read, under new management, However, when they entered, they discovered the old owner standing there, as usual, operating the register. "Leo, what's up with the sign?" Anko asked. "Oh," the elderly proprietor remarked. "Since the cost of shipping supplies and other expenses has been rising so much over the past few years, I've been having financial difficulties and was worried that I might have to close. A year or so ago, a man approached and offered to help if he could be a partner. I initially told him no, but he persisted in talking and said that the only things he wanted to do were acquire new supply lines and bring in a few new items. Even though he has been my partner for more than a year, we decided to announce the deal because I was under contract with my previous ones and could not change them until recently now that the new lines are coming in." According to Asuma, "So what new items has he brought in?" "Well, just a few variations on dango, like some fruit and also some drinks," Leo explained. "Nothing significant because he was unwilling to alter what my customers had enjoyed for years." I was surprised to learn that he also assisted the man and his daughter who owned the ramen stand down the street. He wanted a few drinks that I don't carry, so that's the only thing he changed about them besides getting new ingredients. He claimed that in addition to helping our environment, he also wanted to pay back a debt of kindness. "Hey, I don't usually complain. What would you have, Ben?" According to Anko, "I will have the usual. Give me one of those starfruit dangos, and I'll also try the flame wine," Kurenai said, glancing at the menu. "Since it's nearly impossible to obtain, I haven't had any of that stuff in almost 5 years." "I'll have some sake and a shrimp dango," Kakashi declared. Asuma replied, "I will have the beef dango and some sake also." "Have a seat and I will bring it out to you shortly," Leo said, nodding. Asuma remarked, "That was unusual." The group did. Then Anko asked, "What do you mean?" Asuma stated, "Well, when someone enters into a partnership like that, they typically want to add their own ideas to the business, change the menu, and change the names. This guy just seemed to add 10 items to the list, as if they were all his favorites, and make it easier for him to do what he already did. I think it takes a lot of effort to make sure his favorite foods are served here." "It is, but since I live alone, I like to treat myself every now and then when I am in town," a man in the booth behind them said, placing his feet up on a chair. Since none of the Junins noticed the man sitting there or even sensed that he was listening in on their conversation, they were all taken aback. "It's not nice to eavesdrop on a conversation, buddy," Anko said, hating to be caught off guard. "I apologize for that, Anko," said the man sitting with a book in his hand, a glass of wine, and some fruit in a bowl. He was wearing a white pullover t-shirt and black shorts. "I didn't mean to do it after earlier today. I didn't feel the need to cook and just wanted to unwind." "Mind if I ask how you know Anko, friend?" Asuma said, squinting his eyes. "Oh Arashi, I see you met some of my best customers," Leo said as he approached with their food at that precise moment. "Once more, I want to express my gratitude for letting me do the upcoming renovations." "No problem, Leo. As I previously mentioned, as part of the agreement, you have $400 a year to spend however you like, provided that you make sure that my wines and fresh fruit are available whenever I feel the need to show up and that you never turn away a customer because another customer doesn't like that one," Arashi said. "No matter who they are, I believe everyone deserves to be treated equally, no matter if they are kings, peasants, or anything in between. They are all equal as long as they can afford the price listed on the sign." He is still not looking up from his book. "Of course not," Leo replied. "I would hate to upset my partner in any way after they have helped me so much." Arashi replied, "Is your son still planning on going to Rice Country next week?" "Yes." Leo said he wanted to see how his childhood friend was doing since he stopped writing nearly 4 months ago. "Rice is currently having a sort of problem with missing nins," Arashi stated. "Even though I am aware of his stubborn, I still hope he will take my advice and hire some ninjas. I offered to pay for it. I told him I would hate to see something happen to him because he is a good Arthur. I'll speak with him again," Leo said. "Since you've been correct in the past, I trust your advice. Enjoy your evening. I have customers," he said, returning to the counter. "Relax, Asuma. Even a genin knows better than to call out a total stranger's name like I did." Arashi sighed, taking a sip of his wine and turning a page in his book while still feeling the other ninja watching him. Asuma replied, "Then if you know better, why did you do it and who are you to talk to us so casually?" In case he was an enemy, each ninja carried a weapon. Arashi replied, "It never fails to surprise me when a ninja fails to look underneath the underneath, right Senseihan?" Kurenai closed her eyes in pleasure, blushed, and tensed for a moment before saying, "So this is your disguise, Naru UM?" Arashi put his finger to her neck and sent a tiny amount of chakra to her pleasure nerves. Cutting her off abruptly, Kurenai opened her eyes slowly, and Kakashi asked, "What was that, Arashi?" "I am sure you understand why I am using my father's first name, but I just hit a massage point I learned over my lifetime," Arashi said, Laughing and closing his book, I reasoned that it would have been preferable to telling them not to use that name while I was having this discussion. Asuma replied, "Don't you think you're being paranoid, Arashi? Watch the street for the next few minutes and let me know if I'm paranoid or not." Arashi snorted, "Oh. And keep an eye on my belongings." As he went outside and around the corner, he said, "That book is getting good, and I still like to finish my wine." 2 minutes later, Naruto passed the dango stand outside, and the 4 ninja were shocked by what they saw. Apparently, word got out that Naruto was back in town because, as he was walking down the street, a fresh fruit vendor threw a rotten tomato at him. A man spat on the sidewalk in front of him, and Naruto said, "Hi," to a woman, who drew her children away, telling them not to go near him. He's a bad man. "The only people I have met that know I am back besides your 4, the old man, and Ibiki, are Iruka, Mizuki, who is in jail, the guy who takes ninja pictures, and the kids at the academy," Arashi said after entering and taking his seat again after about 5 minutes. "The word has already spread throughout the village from a potential 30 people hearing my name and 27 of them not knowing who I am. When the council meets at the end of the week, I predict that someone will try to have me killed or expelled from the village for posing a threat. If this village had the option of keeping me and getting rid of Orochimaru and Uchiha Itachi, or getting them and getting rid of me, they would welcome them back with open arms and pardons." He picked up his book and drained his glass of wine. "Enjoy your meals," he said, turning around. "Kakashi, don't worry. I will not reveal to the other 2 the secret purpose of tomorrow's bell test. I won't really care about demonstrating any real skills during the test, but I will try to be a team player. The pink harpy will think Sasuke's is the best and will protect her from anything, and the upset chicken-headed insignificant hard ass will likely want to test his strength against me in a fight. I hope we can talk with each other again in the future because I really enjoyed it. It's pleasant to unwind with people you can trust." Anko replied, "Question Gaki, how come you call her Senseiheim but never call me any type of affection?" "Simply put," Arashi said, "Anko, I previously vowed to never refer to you as such until I had killed the Hibite. I fulfill my commitments. Furthermore, until you are certain that the thing on your shoulder won't ever hurt you again, you won't allow any guy to get really close to you. I am reminded of that. I'll take yours off once more after the tests. CYA, he said as he made his way to the door. The word, "wait," was screamed. Everyone in the restaurant stared at her, but fortunately, it was just the owner, Arashi, and the 3 other Junins. Naruto turned and walked back over, saying, "Yes. According to Anko, you can remove it, level 1, I can, but only if the host really wants it." Naruto stated, "For you, I can, but with as much pow." All of the Junins who had been listening to him a moment before heard a low growl, and his eyes briefly flashed red, frightening them. His eyes narrowed as they watched him, and they turned to see what was bothering Hima, a black-haired boy with glasses conversing with a gray-haired boy. Kurenai uttered, "What is the matter?" After a few moments of silent observation of the boys outside, Naruto saw the black-haired boy give the gray-haired one a folder. In a whisper, Naruto said, "Motherfucking traitor." They all shushed to the Hokage's office after Kakashi nodded to the others and placed his hands on Naruto's shoulder. When they arrived, he noticed that the Hokage was the only person present and asked, "Naruto, what was that about?" After hearing Kakashi call the man, Naruto assumed it was a henge. When the third saw them arrive, he then listened to Naruto say, "I knew there was a connection but never could prove it. He obtained all of our information in this way." The third person asked, "What, Naruto?" That gray-haired boy was Kabuto, Orochimaru's right-hand man and spy, Naruto said, shocking the others with his speed, display, and Rasengan power as he approached and destroyed a target dummy in the corner. Don't undervalue him when the time comes because he is more powerful and dangerous than you. Kakashi makes sure to destroy his body because he can regenerate from near death. Sai was the other boy you all saw, he said, his voice full of venom. Asuma remarked, "What's so special about that Sai kid?" Naruto closed his eyes, sensing his anger growing. "He is a member of Root and Danzo's son," Naruto stated. At that point, the room fell silent. Naruto remarked, "I knew there was a connection there, but I was never able to locate it." He walked over and sat on the window sill, saying, "I need to calm down before I go out and kill them both." "What happened?" the third person asked. Asuma remarked, "We encountered Naruto at the dango shop wearing his disguise. When Naruto saw those 2 men, he was just explaining how he was going to take Anko's curse seal off. As we watched the 2 men converse and one pass a package to the other, we noticed that his eyes changed color and that he became worried when he ignored us. We brought him here to calm him down and learn more about that. I want to thank you all." Naruto sighed. "I still occasionally act impulsively despite my extensive experience. I didn't anticipate seeing that. I suppose that the only teammate I have who won't turn on me is you, Kakashi." Kakashi asked, "What do you mean, Naruto?" "When he defected, Sasuke would try to kill me," Naruto said Sakura, and I received specialized training after Sasuke betrays us. Sakura was under Tsunade, and I was under Jiraiya. We receive a special mission to retrieve Sasuke during the lifetimes in which those events occur because of your injuries. Yamato takes your place as our sensei, and Sai takes Sasuke's place. It irritates me to learn that Sai is collaborating with Orochimaru. What I mean by Sakura, then Sasuke will use her as his personal spy to look around my house or try to get me to tell him if I demonstrate any skills he wants. If he can't get me or you to tell him, he will promise her a date. I apologize. I've learned from my errors. Kurenai replied, are you sure you're not jumping to conclusions, Naruto, about this Sai guy? As Naruto put it, old man, you know Sai, right? I have met him before. Yes, why? The third person said. What was his personality like? Asked Naruto. I don't understand, said the third. Still wearing his Arashi henge, Naruto sighed and remarked, Danzo trained Sai to be his personal servant from the first day he could remember. He made Sai withdraw from society. He is completely emotionless. He doesn't know how to communicate, so he won't do it. He only knows how to kill and follow Danzo's instructions. He will if he tells you to kill yourself while smiling and crying. He lacks the ability to think independently. Do you understand what I'm saying? He wouldn't be on the street conversing with anyone unless Danzo instructed him to do so. He must have Danzo with him in order to leave Root headquarters. The third sighed and replied, that is what I was afraid of when he wanted you to be a secret weapon for the village all those years ago. The secretary said, sorry to bother you, Hokage-sama, but Hyuga Hiyashi is here to see you, as the door suddenly opened. The third person said, send him in. However, Naruto had vanished, but the others were still present, and the training dummy had returned to its original location without any damage. When Hiyashi entered, the third person asked, to what do I owe the pleasure, Hiyashi? With a glance at the four people present, Hiyashi remarked, this is concerning something I heard today and might be discussed in private. The third said, go ahead, Hiyashi, even though I think I already know why you're here. Go ahead, I have to wrap up my conversation with them after this anyhow. Hiyashi remarked, excellent, I've heard rumors that Naruto Uzumaki has returned. The third person responded, yes, what of it? I also heard that he is now a ninja of this village. Hiyashi added, am I right? Yes. The third replied, Hiyashi, why are you here? I'm sure you're not just here to find out whether some rumors are true. According to Hiyashi, definitely not. Several other council members informed me, and they are curious as to why the child returned and why he was permitted to be a ninja. Additionally, they are demanding to know the child's whereabouts. Over the years I came here to prove that this is true. And what do you plan to do, Hiyashi? Asked the third. That demon is too dangerous to let return to this village. Hiyashi said the council will be forced to remove you and appoint a new Hokage if he is not removed from this village. Actually, Hiyashi, the council would be going beyond its bounds if it attempted to remove me, Naruto said, dropping the disguise in the corner. Hiyashi asked, why is that boy? After being surprised that he had not noticed the boy in the corner. Naruto replied, oh, it's boy now. At least you're smart enough not to break the third's law while I am officially here in the office. Very well, I will tell you why the council can't. The laws of this village are on my side this time, Hyuga-san. Hiyashi continued, you will do well to show respect to your superiors. Naruto replied, I did, seeing as I am a clan head myself and also a council member. Not understanding what he meant, this caught everyone's attention. Really now, boy, what makes you think you have either of those rights? Hiyashi said with a sly smile. With a sly smile, Naruto said, allow me to show you. He then proceeded to the Yondaime's photo, cut his finger, and applied blood to it, which caused it to change into an open safe. Along with everyone else, Hiyashi was taken aback. Naruto reached in, took out a scroll, and threw it to him, saying, this is the proof I need, Hiyashi. When Hiyashi opened it, the contents made him pale. According to Hiyashi, there must be a mistake. Naruto replied, nope, the blood seal on the safe is proof, and if my grandmother comes to the village then all it would take is a simple blood test. What exactly does it say, Hiyashi? Asked the third. Naruto replied, go ahead, I don't mind, I have my copy of that anyways, so if someone were to destroy it I still have proof. After giving the third the scroll, Hiyashi paused to consider his words, saying, that proves you a clan head, that does not make you a council member though. Naruto replied, actually you're right, I actually have 4 council seats. With a narrowed gaze, Hiyashi asked, what do you mean? Naruto stated, I have my father's seat based on the laws of Konoha's charter state that all Kage's living or deceased closest living relative is automatically given a seat on the council forever. Second, I have my family seat since my family was one of the original clans of Konoha like yours, so that is my second seat. My third seat is mine because of my grandfather's family and because he is not here in the village and I am the only blood relation of his family in the village. I have his seat. The third individual replied, I know Tsunade is your grandmother, but who is your grandfather? Yes, Hiyashi replied, I would also like to know that. Kakashi is currently reading his book, stated Naruto. A copy of Icha Paradise fell to the ground as everyone turned. You hate me, don't you? Kakashi said. Naruto laughed and replied, Yeep, not only do I own the publishing company for those books but my grandfather writes them now. Hiyashi, before you have a heart attack, I think you should know one more thing before the council tries to get rid of me. According to Hiyashi, that is, Naruto replied, do you know why I am able to not be insane after what this village has done to me? Because of the Kyuubi. Hiyashi did not respond and Naruto responded, my bloodline, I have the bloodline to control demons just like the first Hokage. Now here is something the council better learn quickly as it seems to forget the laws of our village charter. The third replied, what do you mean Naruto? Even I am not sure what you're talking about now. Naruto continued, as stated by the charter of this village. Any founding family member of Konoha that is from a founding clan has not only free travel to come and leave as they please but also any structures or resources built on the lands that were divided among the original clans are always owned by those clans and cannot be taken away, given or sold by anyone. They will remain owners of those lands and any buildings or resources of those lands for as long as the village of Konoha stands and cannot be taken by the council, future Hokage, or any other person or persons of power. What exactly are you getting at? Asked Hiyashi. Naruto replied, Hokage-sama, can you bring out the map of the current village of Konoha while I grab something out of the safe? After the Hokage nodded and took the map, Naruto returned with an ancient scroll, opened it, and uttered the words, notice anything? The scroll revealed a map of the original Konoha. As everyone stared, Asuma exclaimed, my god! That can't be right, Hiyashi said. I checked with the map in the archives when I first saw it myself, and they are identical, Naruto remarked. From the present south walls of the village to the Hokage monument, everything belongs to my family. Everything is owned by the Hyuga and Uchiha, including their compound and the academy. Like the other clans, the third clan owns what they still own. My clan lands are the way they are because we were the first to grant homesteader rights and permit habitation by non-clan members. The law is the law, regardless of how prosperous the village has become. The entire village of Konoha, from the academy's edge to the south wall to the Hokage monument, is owned by my family because Tsunade and I are the last two members of our clan. This means that every building, including the Hokage Tower, hospital, shops, restaurants, and residences, belongs to me. I am unable to be removed by the council. Oh, and Hiyashi. One more thing, take a look at your bloodline on my body. Hiyashi did, and he was shocked to see that his coils were bigger than anyone's he had ever seen. His chakra was entirely blue, with only a hint of red, and he asked, how? I have nearly taken all of Kyuubi's power for myself, Naruto declared. As far as the council is concerned, it will be dead by the time I'm 16, if not earlier. I'm sure you don't want to call me a demon again, do you, Hyuga? Especially since I have the ability to either defend this village the way my family does or turn me against them if they so choose. Trying to think of the best way to take advantage of this, Hiyashi said, I have a lot to consider. If Naruto's statement is accurate, he has Konoha completely covered. Naruto took a breath and said, Hiyashi, I may not like you and you may not like me, but I have a proposition for you I think you might actually like. The question was, what's that? Naruto replied, how would you like to be rid of the cage seal on your family forever while still able to secure your bloodline? Everyone's attention was drawn to this, and Hiyashi asked, what do you mean? Nobody knows my true skills because I left the village to train, Naruto remarked. I have developed into a kind of seal master during that time. Actually, I was able to kill Kyuubi more quickly thanks to my abilities. I intend to immediately pursue my Junin status and Seal Master certifications after I become Chunin. After learning the specifics of what transpired with Cloud and your brother, I created a seal. Naruto remarked, I know the whole truth, Hiyashi, Neji, and Hinata both, but I feel lost on that deal, as Hiyashi narrowed his eyes. I created a seal for them that would still seal the bloodline upon death, but it would be able to be applied to everyone and not to their foreheads, but to their hearts. I can have Hinata bring them by sometime this week so you can have your own professionals examine them if you'd like. If you would like, I can also take off the cage seal. The seal won't be able to torture a branch member like your current seal can, which is the only significant difference. You don't need a branch family, though, if everyone has one. That's your clan. I just wanted to try to patch things up between your clan and mine. I intend to rebuild my clan, and if at all possible, I don't want my kids to experience any annihilation. Hiyashi replied, before I decide on anything I would like to know how you know about the incident and what exactly you know. I met a missing nin from Cloud while I was traveling, Naruto said. He explained to me how he was supposed to help bring Hinata back and meet the man you killed. I was hanged into a missing mist nin at the time, so he was unaware that I was from here. He explained to me how they found the switch, but it was too late to protest, and how his failure was supposed to result in his death. He had a bounty Cloud on him, so I killed him and turned him in any case. I went to Cloud and filed a bounty on the man. And I also broke into the record office to obtain additional information. They apparently learned that your brother had stepped in to save your life. I also learned that a Hyuga named Hiri assisted them in obtaining the specifics of your family's residence. Do you have any proof of this? Hiyashi asked, squinting. All I have is the mission scroll that the Cloud nin I killed had on him, Naruto remarked. In order to prevent Cloud from sending hunters after him, he used it as a bargaining chip. Even though he was supposed to destroy it, it specified the time and location of the meeting with Hiri as well as the information he was expected to provide. At this, Hiyashi dropped his emotionless mask and said, if you do have that, I will make you a deal. The entire room was in shock. Naruto flamed Shushin away after saying, give me about 5 minutes and I will be back. After glancing at the third, Hiyashi asked, did you know this? No. The third said, the only thing I am certain of is that Naruto discovered who his family was before declaring his intention to depart for training. He is back now, but I don't know anything about nearly everything that happened between when he left and when he returned. I'll tell you, I believe what he has told me. A flame Shushin suddenly materialized, and Naruto, holding a scroll, turned to face Kakashi and declared, Sharingan cannot copy it. To create the effect, I combine my wind affinity with the demon Charka. He then approached Hiyashi, gave him the scroll, and said, here you are. I can't believe he would do that, Hiyashi said after opening it and starting to read it. Naruto declared, I think so. He is one of your clan's council members. As far as I can tell, I suppose he harbors resentment because his father was supposed to be named clan head, but yours was chosen instead. Is it correct that he is a member of your council? With a nod, Hiyashi replied, yes. Well, said Naruto, what is this deal you spoke of? Hiyashi declared, I will back you on the council and in your role as the current clan head. If I can assist you in restoring your clan, I will also agree to do so. Money is not an issue, and I want to state this now, Hiyashi, Naruto said. An arranged marriage between your daughters and me is not something I'm interested in. Not that I dislike them in any way. All I want is for my marriages to be based on love with any woman. Although I've already informed everyone involved that it must be love and not responsibility, I still have an arrangement in the works. At some point during the upcoming week, I will still have Hinata bring you the seal. I have a small request. Though Neji is your nephew, and I am aware that his hatred of the main house is impairing his judgment, are you able to tell the truth prior to the Chunin exams? I worry that he might use that platform to exact revenge on his father if he and Hinata ever cross paths. I'll comply with your request, Hiyashi said. I do ask that I be invited to any future weddings you have planned. But I do have a question. Are you aware of your mother's identity? For now, no, Naruto said. Since Tsunade is still unaware of me, I hope to meet with her and persuade her to come back to Konoha. If she does, I will attempt to persuade her to take a blood test on every record in the Konoha archives to see if she can identify me. The question was, what do you mean? The village was at war when Tsunade gave birth to my father, Naruto remarked. To keep him safe from her adversaries, she concealed him in the orphanage before he became Hokage and made the same request I'm going to make of Tsunade. My father was unaware that she was his mother. The only person who knew I was Arashi's son until I got back from my training trip was the third. So I'm taking advantage of that to get everything ready for my clan's return to Konoha. But if the council tries to stop me or my clan, I still have laws to protect me. Hiyashi responded, if I may ask, how do you know the laws of this village so well? With a just you I know, I can read the entire Konoha library in a single day because I have an almost photographic memory, Naruto remarked. One of the Fire Lords, who possessed copies of Konoha's laws and charters, gave me permission to use that jutsu. I see, Hiyashi said. Hey, Hiyashi, I know you have a lot on your mind, and it's getting late, but I would like you to keep what you heard here a secret until I make it public, Naruto said. Since I am viewed as the village's demon rather than the hero my father desired, I don't want to start a riot. And flamed Shushin away. Have a good evening, everyone. Turning, Hiyashi saw the third staring at him. Now, Hiyashi, let me remind you of my law. The third said, I'll take action if I catch you calling him a demon again. Kazama-san stated he had an arrangement in the works, Hiyashi said. Nodding, would you mind telling me what it is? I am not at liberty to say at this time, the third person said. By the time of the Chunin exam finals, it will either be finalized or cancelled, I can assure you. Nodding, Hiashi remarked, we really messed up, didn't we? I may not know his precise skills, Hiashi, but I can tell you this, the third person said. He is more powerful than his dad. I see, Hiashi said. Looking pale. Maybe I should help him and his clan as much as I can. His clan would be a welcome addition to any village if what he said is accurate. In response, Kakashi asked, what do you mean? I understand what he meant when he mentioned that he still had other laws that protect his clan. Hiashi said he has the authority to call a vote of all the village's current members in his capacity as clan head. If 3/4 of the clan in the village agree, he has the authority to expel his clan, seize all of their property, and relocate them. He is able to take his clan to any village he wants because he is the only clan member there. I hope you will do what you promised, Hiashi, the third said. Looking pale. He can demolish our village without doing anything if he gets angry about it. After Hiashi nodded and walked away, the Junins exchanged glances before Anko remarked, Gaki was right, Aegean. What? The third person asked. Kurenai stated, he demonstrated to us that he was not acting paranoid by walking down the street as himself and witnessing the villagers' cruelty after we told him he was hanging in public. Additionally, he stated that by the end of the week, the council would attempt to remove him. It appears that has begun as well. Kakashi replied, why'd I keep feeling like I am the child when he is in the room? The third replied, because ever since I met him at the age of 5 and he told me the truth, I felt the same way. Asuma replied, I want to know how he did that to you. Ate the restaurant. None of your business, Kurenai said. Flushed, she departed in a flurry of leaves after saying, I have to go. You really enjoying this, aren't you? Asked Kakashi. Yes, Asuma said. She could use someone in her life, in my opinion. According to Kakashi, I thought you both had a thing going. Asuma remarked, well, we mostly just hang out. Hell, we didn't even share a kiss during our 2 previous attempts at dating. You have anything you want me to work on, Hokage-sama? Kakashi asked, nodding. Try to evaluate him if you can, Kakashi, the third person said. I know the Gaki has a reason for not doing it now, but do me a favor and find out why he won't remove it now for me, Anko said as he began to walk toward the door after Kakashi nodded and departed in a flurry of leaves. I will, but it will be difficult, the third person said. With a nod, Anko melted into the ground. So what's really going on, Dad? Asuma asked, glancing at the third. To be honest, I'm not sure, the third person said. The more I believe I know, the less I really do. Asuma questioned, do you really trust him? Truthfully, sighed the third. No, everything is too convenient. I have no choice but to trust him if what he says is accurate, but it's all a little difficult to believe. I'm going to contact my former pupils to see if his claims are accurate. I have more evidence than his word if it is. I should inform you that he is investing in a few local businesses, Asuma said. He is either telling the truth or fabricating something. I want you to train your team normally for the time being, the third said, nodding. If I discover later that he is telling the truth, I might alter everyone's training. I hope that neither I nor this village will suffer the consequences of my lack of faith. With a nod, Asuma departed. Asuma and the third failed to notice the little plant in the office corner fading into the ground. He opened his eyes slowly in Naruto's home and said, I hope so, old man. I also hope so. It appears that I will have to handle things on my own for some time. Maybe one day, after they know who I am, someone will truly trust me. He returned his book to the library shelf and went upstairs to his bedroom. Everybody experiences a moment in their lives when they can only think one thing. I wonder how I can piss the world off today. That thought crossed Naruto's mind as he began preparing for the day, glancing at his weapons, scrolls, and other necessities, then glancing at his clothes in the closet and grinning as he made his decision. Sakura was in a dream world today. She got up an hour earlier than usual because she had a test with her Sasuke-kun today, put on her best dress, put on her makeup, and got all the little journals she kept on Sasuke and the new journal she bought yesterday to record everything she and Sasuke did now that they were on the same team. She thought about her other teammate and said, what a jerk. He described himself in a line that made everyone there perspire. My name is Naruto. Sakura glanced at the clock and said, I'm going to be late. It's funny because she's 2 hours earlier than she should be. As he was getting ready for the day, Sasuke thought, today, I'm going to be one step closer to killing him. He put on his clothes, which he had laid on his bed, and hurried off to meet his team, pausing briefly to think, oh well, it will only get in my way to kill him. As he was making his way to the training ground, he would pass ninjas, who would snicker at him, but his pride would not allow him to inquire why. Sakura and Sasuke arrived within 5 minutes of one another, but Sasuke disregarded her while she was occupied with journaling. 2 hours after Kakashi and Naruto were supposed to meet for their team meeting, the sound of music suddenly reverberated throughout Konoha, waking everyone who had not yet woken up and forcing them to cover their ears. You may be wondering where the music was coming from, and it's actually kind of funny as people began to leave their homes to find out where the music was coming from. They noticed something that had never been seen in the village's history. Everyone looked up at the Hokage monument and saw the 4 faces of the Hokage singing along with the song and making real facial expressions. Of course, it was a genjutsu, but that was irrelevant. One red-eyed woman looked at the source and began to laugh uncontrollably. Her laughter reached a breaking point when she saw a 5 feet 10, 160-pound man with blue eyes and blonde hair walking down the middle of the street. He was dancing to the music, which would be funny, but it wasn't the reason the red-eyed woman was laughing. Rather, it was the fact that he was dressed or wasn't in a pair of boxers with the word "sexy" printed on the front, a picture of 2 hands on the back, and a pimp hat with a cane. As the figure approached and the red-eyed woman could see his muscles and how toned he was, he said, "Morning Senseiheim." The song that the Hokages were singing and to which he was dancing now went something like this. The song was almost over when he arrived at the training ground, and he turned to face his team while sweating because 2 of his students were gaping at him from behind, while his 3rd student was standing on top of water, still dancing to the music. Kakashi, along with everyone else who was asleep, decided to give it up while the music continued to play and prepared for the day. As soon as the song's last line was uttered, Naruto removed his pimp hat and threw it and his cane into the air. Everyone's focus was abruptly drawn to Sasuke, who was engulfed in smoke. When the smoke cleared, the shirt he was wearing changed from his traditional blue Uchiha shirt to a sleeveless t-shirt that read. Sakura fainted from the mental trauma, Kakashi perspired, and Sasuke was enraged on the inside, while Naruto appeared to be fine. After Sakura was brought back to life, Kakashi said, "Now that everyone is awake," and he pulls out 2 bells and looks at Naruto, who is still only wearing his boxers. "Ready. I guess I will now explain the test. You have 3 hours to get these bells from me," Kakashi said, adding that the person who doesn't has to return to the academy. "Come on, you want to kill me, start." Naruto simply leaned against a tree, took out a Enpa don't own any right, and scrolled through the song list while Sasuke and Sakura vanished into the surrounding area. Sweating, Kakashi remarked, "You're weird compared to the others." "This one's for you, Kakashi." Naruto grinned, got up, stretched, and pressed play. As the music began to play throughout the entire village once more as the Hokage sang, Naruto assumed a stance that Kakashi recognized as the Iron Fist-style guy used and exclaimed, "Oh shit." Then, with a sudden smirk, Kakashi raised his head to reveal his Sharingan, causing Sasuke to gasp, and they both vanished from existence. After Kakashi jumped with a leg sweep, Naruto jumped to match him, and they began exchanging blows before vanishing from view once more. After that, they both seemed to be breathing heavily. Naruto switched to a stance that Kakashi was unfamiliar with, then charged slowly before suddenly accelerating and kicking Kakashi off the ground. He then took a punch to the gut, which sent him double over, only to receive 2 more punches that were raised at least a foot higher each time, followed by a kick to the side of the head before they both vanished. Kakashi and Naruto finally make an appearance as the song comes to a close. Naruto turns to see Sakura and Sasuke standing there, gaping, and says, "Look in your pockets." Both appeared perplexed, and after searching their pockets for the bells, Naruto remarked, "Same time tomorrow, Kakashi. Fight me," is all Sasuke can say as Naruto goes through his songs and leaves, while Kakashi simply nodded and pulled his head down before falling to the ground. The music began to play as Naruto grinned, hit play, said, "Fine," and assumed another fighting stance. The music said as they assumed a fighting stance, "Do what's right for you, fight for your life." Mortal Kombat and Naruto and Sasuke charged, with Sasuke falling to the ground after one punch. Naruto exclaimed, "Flawless victory," and proceeded to pick up Kakashi and carry Flame Shushin to the hospital. Sakura approached Sasuke in tears, but a woman's voice interrupted, saying, "Kiss him." Since it wasn't her inner self, Sakura looked around, but she didn't see anyone, so she asked, "Who's there?" "I am your guardian angel," the lovely voice intoned. "You can have your way with Sasuke while he's sleeping because I gave Naruto the ability to defeat him. Give him a kiss now." Sakura replied, "No, all right," the voice said instead, "I suppose I'll go be Ino's guardian and assist her in obtaining Sasuke." Sakura cried out, "Hold on, I'll carry it out." "Good," the voice said. Sakura slowly leaned down and gave the Uchiha a kiss after saying, "Do it." The voice said, "You will never be able to do this or anything else again if you don't befriend Naruto and stop hating him for hitting Sasuke. As payment for this, recognize." Stuttering, Sakura said, "Yes, good, The voice said, I'll be watching, and I'll know if you disobey me. Recall practice whenever you can while Sasuke is away so that you will know it's true love when you wake up, and finally plan to kiss. Don't be cruel to your teammates either once, he will save your life. With a nod, Sakura asked, anything else? All she could hear was silence. A certain blonde was laughing to himself as he left the hospital after getting the information from his cage bun Shin Naruto, his sexy no jutsu self. After he got outside, he searched through his Enpod's music selections once more until he found the song he was looking for. He then leapt up on the roofs and headed to the Hokage monument, where he hit play and listened to the song while he stood looking over the village. Naruto closed his eyes and uttered, "Watch me, Dad," and Kyuubi. As the music came to an end, he let the wind pass over him and stood quietly, taking in the quiet, saying, "I will protect this village and everyone in it." Unfortunately, good things come to an end. The council wishes to see you, said an ABNU who landed behind him. Demon. After giving a nod, Naruto burned the ABNU away, leaving scars. The entire council, along with the Hokage and his two principal advisors, welcomed Naruto when he arrived. Since Naruto was still only wearing his boxers, the majority of the council was incensed. "So what does the eminent council of Konoha wish to see me for?" Naruto asked, grinning at them. "This morning, I was having a great time on my lands." "Stop talking, boy," Danzo said. "We're here to talk about your punishment for upsetting the village this morning. Before any of you pissants try anything this morning, you will listen to me," Naruto said, channeling his demonic chakra into his voice, releasing all of the limitations he had placed on his power and flashing his ki, which, when combined with the reaction, was enough to frighten the entire council. "I've changed from the Naruto Uzumaki you all bullied when I was younger. Actually, Uzumaki isn't even my name like my father, Arashi Kazama the Yondaime, it's Kazama. Second, according to Konoha law, the Genjustu's effects were limited to the lands I own. Third, I am the grandson of Tsunade, the first Hokage's granddaughter and the second Hokage's granddaughter. I am currently the clan head of both her family and the Kazama family, who adopted my father after he was placed in an orphanage for his protection. Since she is currently not in this village, I also hold several council seats in this council as a result according to the village charter. I also own everything in this village, including the South Gate, the Academy, and the Hokage Monument. I have one last thing to do before I let you all go because I really irritated you. I was picked to stop the Ninetales, and you know why. My father's inability to ask another family to donate their child isn't the only reason. No, it's because I was the only one capable of keeping it under control. Why do you ask?" After saying this, Naruto slammed his hand against the ground, causing a tree to burst through the floor of the council chamber and through the building's roof. Naruto then released the key, replaced his power restrictors, and grinned at the scarred expression on everyone's face. "So, what do you want to see me about?" asked Naruto. "Well, I'll let everyone consider what I said." He flamed Shushin away after saying, "Have fun, pissants." Now, those who were aware that Naruto was from the future were taken aback by his actions. In addition to telling the council to essentially kiss his ass, his enormous power spike left everyone in the village scarred. After wandering around Konoha, where everyone seemed to be giving him the wide berth of walkway, Naruto was still furious. He saw a figure approaching him, and he exclaimed, "Gaki, what the hell was that about? You not only frighten the living daylights out of the entire village, but you also engage in a squabble with the council." She looked at Naruto and said, "What?" No response. Naruto ignored her and continued to walk. "Too nice to speak with a friend. I assumed you wanted to be unique here." Naruto halted and uttered the words, "Trust Anko." Anko paused, looked perplexed, and uttered the words, "What?" "I said trust," Naruto said. "Living in a world where the people you want to be close to don't trust you is difficult, don't you know? Even after I tell the truth to people I trust and I expect the same thing from them, I am never trusted, which is worse than the fact that my father had to curse me." "You are a fool," Anko said, glancing at him naturally. "You won't be trusted by anyone. You're a ninja idiot. We make our living by lying. You are aware that someone who has experienced as much life as you claim can be naive." Glancing up at the sky, Naruto remarked, "You know the last thing Kyuubi told me before he died, Anko." As Anko put it, "What, Gaki? I should never deny who I am." Naruto remarked, "I would be betraying myself if I did that. The sad thing, Issa, you know what it is. I never had the opportunity to discover my identity. I've always been who everyone believes me to be: an idiot, a failure, a demon, a monster, a weakling, and a dead last. Every shred of respect I've ever had has had to be earned. Are you aware of what it's like to wait for someone you trust to betray you?" "Yeah, kid, I do," Anko said quietly as he stood there. "However, I am also aware of something you appear to have overlooked. Respect is not bestowed, it must be earned." "I'm tired, Anko," Naruto said, sighing and closing his eyes as he looked at her. "In all honesty, I have no idea what I really want to achieve. After giving him a quick glance, Anko asked, "What makes you happy?" "Having someone talk to me as an equal without looking at me with hate," said Naruto, who had been silent for a while, savoring a meal with someone without worrying about poisoning. "To truly possess the one thing I never had, a household. That's what I would be pleased with, the sensation of no longer being alone." Anko replied, "So why do you try so hard to show everyone how much of a badass you are and give them one more reason to hate you and stay away from you?" After giving her a brief glance, Naruto remarked, "You're right, I've already blown this one, and my fucking arrogance and pride will probably destroy the Leaf Village." "You're going to start over again," Anko said, "don't you?" With a nod, Naruto said, "Thank you." "What?" Anko asked. "Blowing my stack at the council did help clear my head, and I know what I need to do now," Naruto remarked. "I've learned enough laws and dealt with those jerks enough to really annoy them. It felt good to do something I've wanted to do for a long time. There is one thing I've always wanted to accomplish." Says Anko. "What's that?" "You like torture, right?" said Naruto. Naruto said, "Thier is a certain guy, the first one to have a little fun with before I start over Aegean." After Anko gave a slow nod. "What are you planning, Gaki?" asked Anko. Naruto replied, "How would you like a little revenge on Orochimaru?" "I like your style, Gaki," Anko said with a smile. "What are your plans?" Naruto replied, "Meet me at the tower in the Forest of Death in 2 hours." Naruto vanished in a whirlpool of flames as Anko nodded. When Anko reached the tower in the Forest of Death 2 hours later, the scene she saw was different from what she had anticipated. 2 trees rose out of the floor of the main battle arena, and she noticed a gray-haired child wearing glasses attached to both trees by vines. When Anko entered the room, he exclaimed, "What the hell?" Naruto said, "Meet Kabuto, Orochimaru's right-hand man," as he approached and hurled a glass he was drinking against a wall, shattering it. "I don't know what he is talking about," Kabuto remarked. "Orochimaru is someone I have never met. He came out of nowhere and brought me here while I was en route to the hospital for work assist." Naruto replied, "Anko, he says he never met Orochimaru before, but check his neck." When Anko approached and noticed a curse seal, Kabuto went pale and remarked, "Never met him, huh? Alright, Gaki, I'm interested in you. What are your plans?" "Well, Kabuto here has a healing ability that's almost as good as mine," Naruto remarked. "I suggested that we play a quick game. The right to proceed to the next type of torture is awarded to the first person to permanently scar him." Anko took out a kunai and grinned, saying, "I like you style, Gaki." Anko remarked, "I can't believe you did that." After Naruto smirked and withdrew a kunai for the next 6 hours. Screams could be heard coming from the Forest of Death, but no one could hear them because everyone avoided it. "Me, I just carved our names into his back." Naruto grinned. "You took away his manhood." Anko replied, "Well, we did learn that was the one thing he could not grow back." "I understand what you mean," Naruto said, nodding. "You removed his fingernails. His knuckles are broken by me. You took them out. I broke his arms. You injected venom into his muscles. I broke his ankles. You extracted teeth. At least I like how you killed him," Anko remarked. "You used the 1000 years of death with a kunai that had 100 exploding tags wrapped around it." "At least we found out a little info about Orochimaru I can use," Naruto said with a smile. With a sigh, Anko asked, "So when are you going back to start over Aegean, Gaki?" "Soon," Naruto said, his smile fading. "Before we began, I had already administered the only poison that could kill me. I didn't want to beg someone to kill me so I could return. I should be done with it soon." With a nod, Anko asked, "So what do you plan to do when you go back?" "I think I'll work behind the scenes again," Naruto remarked. "Regain your strength in secret. However, I'm not sure if I'll pull the disappearing act again. It was lonely even though I traveled a little." Anko remarked, "So what about your clan?" "I only know 3 women that I would like to have in my life," Naruto remarked. "You, Senseiheim, and Tamari-chan. But I'm not sure how to get all 3 of you to complete the task at hand. But I don't want to be without all 3 of you. Every one of you possesses a special quality that completes my life. You seem to know how to get that Tamari girl and Kurenai," Anko remarked. "I believe that I am the only person you truly don't know how to get." "It's easy to get Tamari," Naruto said, nodding. "All I need to do is help Gaara or set up a marriage with her father, but I detest having to go through the elderly man for it. Since I don't use her as a plaything or to gain access to her father, it will be simple to win her approval once we actually meet. I let her know that I consider her a person Kurenai is more difficult to win over because men are constantly vying for her attention based solely on appearance, but I can win her over if I demonstrate how special she is to me. It also helps that I'm curious about the real her. My desire to kill the Hibite me is the only thing I truly have to show you. Even in my lifetime, I have never been able to get close enough to share the pain I see in myself, and I know you have a mask on to keep people away. There are 3 things you could do to impress me when you return, Anko said after nodding and taking a moment to sit. She said, "First, send me some white roses," as Naruto gave her a startled look. "They are my favorites. But I won't reveal their origins. It will be more difficult for you to accomplish the second task. But I believe in you." I had a locket with a photo of my parents and myself. When Orochimaru hired me as an apprentice, he grabbed it and tossed it into the abyss by the town's west side hot springs. Given your ancestry, I assume you could go down there and give it back to me. With a nod, Naruto asked, "What's the third thing?" With her eyes closed, Anko asked, "Do you know my middle name?" "No," Naruto said, shaking his head. "It's Sarah," Anko said. "Now, only you are aware of it, not Orochimaru, either. Call me Sarahime when you send me the flowers and the locket. Since my parents passed away when I was 5 years old, no one has called me that, but, in order for me to take you seriously, don't tell me who you really are until you're this age again. In letters and other correspondence, you can tell me about yourself, but don't reveal your age or treat me differently. Additionally, include a code word that only you and I will know in case I don't receive the letters or something else happens." As the poison completed its task, Naruto began to cough up blood, and Anko gave him a sorrowful look while crying and remarked, "Gaki, one more thing. In your letters, tell me the truth about yourself, but not enough to let me figure it out. Tell me that you are the last of your clan, but make sure I understand that you are not Uchiha in order for me to not believe you are cheating. Please also tell me about Kurenai and whether you end up with the sand girl and form Kurenai as well, so that we can both become accustomed to one another. I do like you, and I want you to know that even though I had no idea who you were, I have since our altercation a few years ago." Naruto grinned at her as his eyes began to slowly close, and the final sensation he experienced before passing away was a gentle kiss on his lips followed by a few tears hitting his cheek. "This time, I am doing it for myself," Naruto said, blinking as he opened his eyes and gazed at a roof that he genuinely detested. "Not for the elderly man, not for the village," he said. "Today the real Naruto Uzumaki Kazama shall be born." And with a renewed sense of conviction, he got out of bed, looked out the window, and grinned broadly. "This time, I am doing it for myself, and I will also find myself." After getting dressed for the day, Naruto went to the Hokage's office, saved the same idiot who was going to be killed by a falling plant, and sighed as he went straight to the door, ignoring everyone who tried to stop him. 2 ABNU were standing at the door, and Naruto never looked at them, saying, "If you value your lives, you will let me see the Hokage." He passed the 2 stunned guards, who never imagined a 5-year-old would say that by the time they were well enough to move, they fell to the ground after a pressure point was struck on each of their necks. Ignoring the Hokage's questioning gaze, Naruto entered the Hokage's office, proceeded directly to the Yondaime's picture, bit his thumb, and smeared blood on it, shocking the 3rd Hokage. He then reached in, took out a scroll, threw it to the 3rd, and said, "Long story short, I am aware of my true identity and the reasons behind your actions. I admire that old man, but I'm sick of being the village scourge. You can do whatever you want, but I have things to do. Don't tell anyone yet because I don't want my father's identity to be known. Naruto Uzumaki Kazama is my name. I will adopt my family name when I'm ready. Regardless of whether the majority of people in this village believe I'm Kyuubi, I'll be here sometime. Don't be shocked if I disappear for a week or 2, or if you can't find me, I'll be back." He turned to leave after saying, "By the way, do your paperwork with Kage Bunshins." After recovering from the shock of seeing 5-year-old Naruto enter and reveal a secret that only he knew, as well as opening a safe that he was unaware of, the 3rd yelled, "Wait!" However, Naruto continued to walk, hedging into Asuma and heading to the ally to meet Kurenai once more. As the 3rd opened the scroll back inside the Hokage tower, Naruto threw it to him. It did indeed say that Naruto was Arashi's son, but he was shocked to see that Arashi's real mother was listed. He sighed, unsure of what to do, and promptly called for ABNU to get some people for him. Kurena moaned as Asuma kissed her back with more passion than ever before, pressing a pressure point on her neck to make her feel ecstatic. Naruto broke the kiss and said, "Senseiheim, Asuma is not me, it's a henge. You will be shocked to learn who I am, so I won't reveal my true identity just yet. I'll tell you even though I'm younger than you. I don't think age matters from a distance. I have admired you for your companionship and caring nature rather than your beauty. I'll show who I really am when the time comes. Until then, goodbye, Senseiheim." He then shushens away, leaving Kurenai in shock. Having already activated his bloodline, Naruto appeared inside the Forest of Death and started rebuilding his home, finishing most of it in a few hours because he had done it before and knew what to do. His new home was essentially a 2-story house without any windows or inside walls. It was just a big house with 2 floors and the outside walls and roof. The finer things like furniture, electric, water, sewer, and other things would take time, but for now, the basic house was built. It took most of his chakra to complete this, and his demon chakra helped. but he would have to start retraining his body, he sighed as he ate the fish he had a clone catch and cook. This is going to be fun, Naruto said as he entered his new house, opened a dimensional portal, took a scroll out, and opened a bed. He then took out a paintbrush and ink and began working on some seal. When he was finished, he lay down on the bed and remarked, "Thank God Kyuubi taught me how to put stuff in dimensional pockets. I can get things in or out of it whenever I have time. Not having to buy things again is helpful." Oh well, and went to bed without even worrying that the third Hokage had 10 of his most trusted individuals out searching for Naruto. This is going to be a fun week. Early the following morning, Naruto got ready for the day by writing a scroll, sealing it, and leaving Shushin to return to the Hokage Tower. Shocking many of the ninja present to receive their mission, Naruto then approached the mission door office and said, "I request a mission." "Naruto, you can't ask for a mission because you're not a ninja," the third said. "I would also like to speak with you privately." "You misunderstand me, Hokage-sama," Naruto remarked. "A mission is not what I want to order a mission." After blinking, the Hokage asked, "And what would that mission be?" "I would like to pay for 2 S-class missions," Naruto said. "Additionally, I ask that the same individual complete the mission." "You say it's an S-class mission," the Hokage said. "Naruto, you are aware of their high cost. Additionally, I want to know what the missions are." As the entire room listened, Naruto declared, "They are both delivery missions. One is to the Kase Cage of Suna, and the other is to Jiraiya of the Sannin. Kakashi is the only person who can read the third scroll here. Would you mind explaining to me why you want that?" asked the third, blinking. "All you need to know is that I want Hitaki Kakashi to complete both missions, and that there will be dire consequences if either of my scrolls are opened besides the intended recipient," Naruto stated. "Additionally, he has to wait for the responses to both scrolls. As for the pay here," he said, placing a scroll on the table and saying, "It contains $2 million. Ignoring the looks he was getting from everyone, Naruto asked, "Now, do you accept my missions, or do I take my money and mission elsewhere?" The third said, "Very well," and the Hokage was startled to see that every ninja in the mission room was watching him to see what he would do. "I'll agree to your mission. I still want to." He was interrupted by Naruto, who scurried off, shocking everyone once more. Naruto then returned to his house and started to rebuild it. A Chunin said, "Hokage-sama," and the Hokage sighed, searching the scroll and finding the amount Naruto had stated. "How and why did that boy use a Shushin that only Chunin or higher people are aware of?" "Mizuki, I don't have to answer your questions right now. I have things to do, so get back in line to wait for your mission," the Hokage said, looking up. Mizuki nodded and returned to the line to finish this later. In an attempt to understand what was happening, the Hokage examined the 2 scrolls Naruto had given him as well as the mission funds. He kept assigning missions until he reached the final scroll at noon. He made the decision to hold off on sending them out until he received responses. Naruto prepared for the day the following day and pulled out additional scrolls containing items for his house. He hanged into his disguise of Arashi and began gathering items for his house after creating some cage bunshin to work on it: food, restroom supplies, and so forth. Items you don't want to buy in bulk. He noticed a group of villagers gathered outside his former apartment. While strolling through the village, he approached cautiously and listened to the group's purpose. "You mean the demon has not been here today? Where could he be? I heard he attacked the Hokage. I heard he used his demon power to attack some ABNU yesterday. I say we find and kill him," Naruto replied. "Pardon me friends, if you're talking about the blonde with whiskers, I saw him sneaking into the women's side of the hot springs on the west side of town now." The all-male group yelled, "Let's get the demon," and rushed toward the hot spring. "You know I should have you taken to the Hokage for doing that to the Gaki. The kid has a hard enough life without assholes making it tougher," Naruto said, turning to face the woman he had hoped to see standing on the corner of the street and staring at him. Naruto replied, "I would agree if I did not just set those idiots up to get the shit beat out of them. I happen to know that most of the Inazakas visit the hot springs today and they don't like perverts. Also, the kid does not live here anymore. He has a new home hidden away from most of the village." The lady replied, "If what you say is true, then I like your style Gaki. By the way, I know you don't really look like that. I can tell it's an advance henge also. How do you know where the kid is now? The Hokage was looking for him yesterday and no one could find him." Naruto gave a nod and leaned against the wall. "I know where he is, but I respect his privacy. You're right, this is an advance henge that can't be dispelled by anyone but me, and even a Sharingan can't see through it. I have my reason for doing this, but you don't need to worry about that. I will tell you I am not an enemy of the leaf." Anko came over to him and said, "You know I have to take you in since you're not allowed to be in a henge in this village without permission from the Hokage, and since I don't know who you are Gaki, I can't trust your words." Anko was left in shock as Naruto nodded and said, "I understand, but I won't be going this time. Take care, Sarahime." He then flamed Shushin away. When Naruto got to his house, he discovered that his cage bunshins had been improving significantly. He looked at the items he had purchased and the ones that still needed to be constructed or installed. He sighed and sat down, saying, "I'm glad chakra control is based on how smart you are. If I didn't have such good control from everything I would never be able to henge and shushin like this. Even cage bunchins in my bloodline are draining. I need to get my reserve back up quickly." The kitchen was almost finished, the bathroom was completed, and both rooms' seals were completed. Basic necessities were completed since the seals to supply the house with water and electricity had been completed. Naruto returned to town the following day, dressed as Arashi, and entered the Yamanko flower shop. Naruto recognized the blonde man as Ino's father, and he said, "Welcome to the Yamanko flower shop. How can I help you today?" Naruto replied, "I would like to have some flowers ordered and delivered." "Can I ask why you are wearing a henge?" the man asked, nodding. Naruto replied, "It's because the ladies that I want to send the flowers to do not know it is me that is sending them, and I want to get both their attentions before I reveal who I really am." Inoichi replied, "I understand, but you know the Hokage has already sent word to all Junins in the village to capture you, right?" Naruto replied, "I figured he would, considering I display skills no one in the village has seen before. I am not going to cause any trouble, but I would like to order my flowers before we get to official business." "You know I can't do that," Inoichi said. Naruto took a breath and replied, "If I can give you some proof I am a member of the Leaf Village, would you let me get my flowers and leave saying I escaped?" Inoichi questioned, "Why would I do that?" when Naruto approached a bunch of flowers and uttered the word, "growth." The flowers began to grow dramatically. Inoichi was shocked when Naruto turned and said, "I am the great-great-grandson of the Shinigami Hokage. I am also the last of my clan that can carry on my family line. I don't want the people of this village to know who I am because the village has lost my respect. I won't reveal who I really am until my grandmother and grandfather arrive. I am not hostile to the village because if I were, the village would not be standing catch." Upon opening the scroll and surveying the shop, he was taken aback by the contents. The note to the Hokage explaining who the flowers were for and the payment shocked him even more than the order for white roses and jasmine. He hurriedly shut down the store and proceeded to the Hokage's office. The third was at his desk when he arrived, and he said, "Pardon the interruption, Hokage-sama." "What is it, Inoichi?" asked the third, looking up. Inoichi replied, The gentleman you asked everyone to be on the lookout for came to my shop a little while ago." The third replied with a nod, "He wanted some flowers ordered and all, and he showed and told me something before escaping. I think you should know he claims he is the great-great-grandson of the Shodem Hokage, and from the display of manipulating plants I say it's a good chance. He also said he is not a threat to the village but said that we have lost his respect. He said he won't reveal who he is until his grandfather and grandmother arrive." "I see. I think I know who he is now. If he is who I think he is, then I know why he is in henge." "Did he say anything else?" the third said, glancing at the scrolls on his desk. Inoichi stated, "He said he was not hostile to the village because if he was it would not be standing. He said he was the last one who could carry on his family line." "Who were the flowers for?" asked the third, closing his eyes. Inoichi replied, "Actually that surprised me the most. Kurama and Anko." He said he was in henge because he was not ready to reveal who he was yet to either of them. The third coughed and got up from his desk. He stated, "Thank you, Inoichi. Go ahead and fill the orders if he paid, and any further orders don't worry about stopping him for now. If I am correct who he is, then I believe what he said is true. Also don't tell anyone about him being the first descendant." The third sighed before sending a message for Kakashi, while Inoichi nodded and walked away. The Hokage office was reached an hour later, and Kakashi said, "You asked to see me, Hokage-sama?" Nodding, the third said, "I have a mission for you." "Does this have anything to do with Naruto?" asked Kakashi. The third replied, "Yes, I assume you heard he requested a mission earlier this week." Behind his ABNU mask, Kakashi nodded and remarked, "I don't know how he knows me though." The third handed it to Kakashi and said, "Neither do I, but he left a scroll for you to read." After opening it and starting to read, Kakashi broke all pretenses of respect and remarked, "You have some explaining to do." "Let me guess," the third blinked and said, "He told you who he really is." Kakashi remarked, "Among other things, why did you not tell me?" According to the third, "I did it for his best interest." After hitting the table with his fist, Kakashi yelled, "His best interest? Bullshit, I have seen what he has been through and his best interest was thrown to the side the moment you changed his name." The third murmured, "I admit I made some mistakes in dealing with him. I did the only thing I could think of to save his life." After letting out a sigh, Kakashi declared, "Give me the scrolls, I will take the missions." "What exactly are they, Kakashi?" asked the third. Kakashi murmured, I don't know, it just told me who he is and that he needs those scrolls delivered and wait for a response to both. He said I would be the only one Jiraiya would halfway listen to, and he does not want too many people to know who he is yet. He also said I won't be able to find him because he has built a home somewhere only one person besides himself goes. I wish he would tell me what's going on, sighed the third. You did not tell him who he was, did you? Kakashi said, blinking. The third individual stated, he walked into my office this week after knocking out my 2 guards and opened a safe I knew nothing about that I assume his father installed, and then said he knew who he was and knew why I did what I did, but said he was not going to be this village's plague anymore and walked out after giving me a scroll from his father. I don't know how he found out because I thought I was the only one who knew. Kakashi replied, perhaps he will tell you if you see him. I got some missions I need to do so I can get back and talk to him. You don't happen to know if he has ever met Anko or Kurenai before, do you? The third person asked, nodding. With a perplexed expression, Kakashi uttered, no, why? The third individual replied, oh nothing, I just was wondering because someone ordered some flowers for both of them and I thought it might have been him. I guess I have been reading too many of Jiraiya's books. Kakashi nodded and continued, I should be back in a month. Naruto gave me a list of places to look for Jiraiya. I wonder how he knows him. The third replied, he doesn't as far as I know, perhaps his dad left instructions for him to meet Jiraiya or something. With a nod, Kakashi departed, leaving the Hokage perplexed. Inoichi said, well, I don't know how, but you both seem to have attracted an admirer of sorts, as Kurenai and her friend Anko had just arrived at a dango stand. Kurenai and Anko both raised their heads and uttered the word, huh. Inoichi took out 2 bouquets of flowers and gave them to the women. As she took the flowers and placed them on the table, pretending not to care, Anko said, I wonder what some Gaki is trying to pull. She then took the scroll and started reading. Kurenai took her flowers as well, but after smelling them, she took the scroll that was attached, read it, and blushed. According to Inoichi, so what's he say? Kurenai said, you actually met him, what does he look like? As she raised her head from the scroll. Inoichi said, truthfully I don't know, he matches the description Anko gave for the guy in the henge. He still had it on and managed to escape before I could take him in, as Anko appeared to be listening in. I'm going to kill the Gaki, Anko snarled as Kurenai put it, what does he say to you? According to Anko, he just tried to tell me he wants to become something special in his life and he is the heir to a forgotten clan and he has been watching me for a while and wants to show his feelings for me. He also says that he has also gotten to like you and one other from another village he is hoping to get to know and perhaps have a relationship with. Sound like a pervert to me. You think it might be Kakashi? He is a pervert, Kurenai remarked. I can guarantee it's not Kakashi, Inoichi said. How can you be sure? Asked both women, glancing at him. Inoichi remarked, simple, Kakashi can't control plants, after taking a look around. Blinking, both women said, huh, Inoichi stated, he claimed he is related to the first Hokage and the third said he thinks he knows who he is but won't tell me who. But you did not hear that from me. Well, I got to get back to my shop. I will be glad when Ino is old enough so I don't have to close shop, Inoichi said after both women nodded. Kurenai asked Anko, what do you think, after he had left? Anko replied, whoever he is has a date with my snakes. I can't believe I did not recognize he had a henge on when he looked like a Suma, Kurenai snorted. According to Anko, you think it might be him? Kurenai replied, not if what Inoichi said is true. Do you think he is a descendant of the first? Anko replied, I don't know but I have another question on my mind. According to Kurenai, and that would be, she said, he called me something nobody but my parents have ever called me. I want to know how he found out. What do you think of the flowers? Somehow he knew my favorites, Kurenai said, nodding. Anko looked around and lied, saying, I don't like flowers so I don't have a preference. So if he asks you out, are you going to go? Kurenai asked. Anko replied, please Gaki would have to do better than a few weeds to impress me. Kurenai replied, I might, just to find out why he would flirt so openly like this. I got to go. Ibiki said he wants me to work on some new intimidation stuff, Anko sighed. Take care and let me know if you hear from him, Kurenai said, nodding. If Gaki's smart he would avoid me unless he wants to die, Anko nodded and walked away. On her way out, Kurenai also passed a man with black eyes and blonde hair who was reading a book. Hey buddy, I heard from a friend of mine that this is the best dango shop in all of Konoha, the man said as the proprietor approached. The proprietor stated, whoever your friend is must have great taste as it's true. The brunette said, name's Arashi and I am a businessman of sorts. I travel a lot and have some unique taste and I was wondering if you might be interested in a sort of business deal. The proprietor replied, "Not really, but I will listen since no one else is here right now. By the way, the name is Leo." Arashi laughed and replied, "Nice to meet you, Leo, and I think you might like my offer. I don't really want to do anything to change your restaurant except pay in advance for a few items to be in stock, so when I am in town I can have it. My offer is 100,000 a year if you would just carry 6 items, 3 different fruit and 3 wines. That's it. I like to relax with dango fruit and wine, but it's hard to find these items in villages this far away from Cloud." Leo replied, "Well, we don't really have trade routes with Cloud, so I don't think it's possible even though you have a great deal." Arashi replied, "That's not a problem. Even though the wine I want is common in Cloud, it is not made there. In fact, I have a supplier who can deliver them. I just want to make a contact here to supply it since I am planning on spending a lot more time in the Leaf Village." Leo glanced at him and replied, "Well, that doesn't sound too bad, but the 100,000 a year you cost me if I have to store the items for any period of time." Arashi replied, "I understand. Perhaps I can make it better for you. Every year for 4 years you go with keeping the item in stock. I will give you a bonus at the end of the 4th year of 200,000 for any inconvenience." Leo said, "Deal. How long would it take to set up the supply line?" As if he were deep in thought. "I should have it set up within 2 months, Arashi stated. "That sounds like a good partner," Leo said, nodding. "Partner, well, if you insist," Arashi said. Leo replied, "Yeep, I was actually in a little financial problem since my regular supplier sold out last month." "Well, it's getting late. I'll draft the contract and bring it by later this week. Good night." Arashi nodded, then got up, finished his drink, and left. Once he was outside, he proceeded down an alley and then toward a side street before pausing and remarking, "Your detection skills are getting better, Senseihan." At the end of the alley, a genjutsu revealed Kurenai, who commented, "Yours are also good, so tell me, when will I actually get to see the real you?" Arashi turned his head slightly to face Anko at the other end of the alley and said, "Someday, but I want to prove to you and Anko I am not just some pervert or stalker. As far as what I was doing back there was a coincidence that you were there, isn't that right, Sarahime?" To which Anko replied, "So Gaki, what do you plan to do?" "Well, to answer that, I have figured out a few things and I plan to do them to impress you both. I can't wait for you to meet the real me, but for now I will just leave a parting gift." Arashi transformed Henge into a woman with brown hair and blue eyes. He then took something out of his pocket, placed it on the ground, and vanished in a whirlpool of flames. With a glance at Kurenai, Anko asked, "How does he do that?" Kurenai walked over and picked up what he left behind after saying, "I don't know." Anko approaches and lets out a gasp. Kurenai turned to watch Anko as she slowly reached for the object. She lets out a single tear as she touches it. Kurenai asks, "Are you okay, Anko?" As she holds the locket near her heart, Anko simply nods and says, "My mother's locket. Orochimaru threw it into a chasm on the other side of town. Even with all my skills now I could not get to the bottom to get it." As Anko opens it and displays the photo of Anko as a young child with her parents, Kurenai gives a slight smile. Anko murmurs, "Thank you," as they stand there silently for a few minutes before leaving for the evening. "You're welcome," is said by Arashi on a rooftop a short distance from the two, and flames shushin home. A Hitaki Kakashi, dressed in his ABNU uniform, stood in front of the Keizukage at Suna 4 days later and said, "Thank you for seeing me, Keizukage-sama." The Keizukage replied, "Of course, ABNU, so what do I owe the pleasure of your visit? Has something happened that the Hokage needs to draw to my attention?" Kakashi held out a scroll and said, "Honestly, I don't know. I was given a mission to deliver a scroll to you and wait for a response." After giving it a quick glance, the Keizukage said, "Very well." He then took the scroll, opened it, and started reading it. "I will arrive at that time to allow a meeting. Correspondence will be allowed and I accept the gift he has given. I will also not mention it to anyone other than my family. Tell him that I agree to his stipulations," he said after setting the scroll down and examining it for a few minutes. Nodding, Kakashi remarked, "I will tell him when I see him." The Keizukage remarked, "You don't know what delivered, do you?" as Kakashi began to walk away. After pausing, Kakashi turned and uttered the words, "No, Keizukage-sama." "Tell me, ABNU, do you know this Kazama?" the Keizukage asked. "A little, sir." Kakashi tensed up and said, "My duties keep me away from the village mostly." "Do you know whether he is a good person?" the Keizukage asked, nodding. Blinking behind his mask, Kakashi uttered the words, "I believe so." "Good, dismiss and safe journey," said the Keizukage. With a nod, Kakashi departed for his next stop. Anko felt some chakra emanating from the forest as she was strolling through the Forest of Death the following day back in Konoha. While carrying the locket she had received earlier this week, she made the decision to look into it and swiftly used her cunning to move far into the forest to the most dangerous but farthest side from the village. After about 30 minutes of following the chakra source, She felt relieved when she reached a location where she was startled by the sight of more than 500 Cage Bun Shins running up and down trees and waterwalking. The Kyuubi child was identified by her as the Cage Bun Shins. A couple of clones were balancing on kunias when she saw something suddenly fall into the clearing and destroy them. She almost had a heart attack when she looked up. There was a huge mansion nestled among the trees. She looked around, keeping her chakra as low as possible and making sure she was hidden. As she observed, she soon noticed one of the clones that was unique in the vicinity of that one. She observed the appearance of 25 new Cage Bunshins. Then she saw the 25 clones transform into various human beings and adopt various fighting positions. As she watched herself adopt the serpent stance, she became perplexed upon spotting one of herself among the group. The 25 clones, who were either people she knew or did not, started fighting after the one she noticed was different. Before she assumed a fighting stance and did not recognize them. It was a fatal battle. She never would have predicted the methods she witnessed them employ. Osamas even had a wind affinity and used trench knives. She was most surprised by the Kakashi one since it made use of Chidori Kurenai. Applied the death tree bind. Hiati fought with a sword in the crescent moon style. The hidden snake hand was used by her clone. She watched as the Naruto she believed to be the real one countered every move in the battle. Then, she received a surprise she never would have imagined. The child employed Hiraishin and Rasengan, the fourth-placed jutsu. She had read enough about them to know that was what they were, even though she had never seen them in person. She observed the elimination of a few of the less formidable combatants. She could have sworn that the Guy clone and a miniature version of him would open the gates despite being wounded. The child continued to fight. Anko became perplexed when an Itachi clone said, "I will kill you Kyuubi just like I killed my clan." Before long, there were only 2 of the 25 clones that had begun. Anko was taken aback by who they saw when they looked at the 2. Her blood ran cold at what followed. Tsunade and Jiraiya were the 2 clones that were present. Orochimaru was standing there when another clone materialized. His clone started talking, and she listened. "Kukakukik Naruto-kun, I see you are still too weak to kill me. How can you hope to protect the women you love from me? I will kill you, Orochimaru. I will do it for all the people's lives you have ruined and are planning to ruin. But most of all I will stop you for Sarahime," Naruto said, his eyes turning red as he looked at him. Then, he leapt onto a tree branch and grabbed it, causing it to attack Orochimaru. When Anko saw all of this, he became motionless. Then she heard the voices of the other 2 clones of Sannin. "Naruto, why do you fight for a village that curses the day you were born?" Tsunade replied. Jiraiya replied, "Come on kid, do you really think with everything you do you will ever find happiness in this village?" Naruto responded, "Shut up grandfather, I heard it from you before. And you grandmother first putting dad up for adoption just to keep from upsetting the Hokage. Please, you claim it was for his protection, but I know the truth then never telling him who you were. I lived most of my lives alone and that pain is impossible to understand. The loneliness of not knowing if you even had a family and then find out one is out writing books and the other gambles and drinks. I swear when I restore my clan I will not only love my wives but my children." He charged all 3 Sannins attacking one another while utilizing their unique abilities. As she watched him go toe-to-toe with the Sannins, Anko's breath caught in her throat when she witnessed her former master applying a sealing to his stomach. She gasped she would always remember what happened next. "Too late Orochimaru, you can't seal what's not there. Kyuubi's been dead for a long time now join him," Naruto said as he slowly got to his feet. Glancing at Orochimaru, Naruto then flamed Shushin around the battlefield, attacking from various directions. Regretfully, the Sannins remained resilient. At last, Naruto collapsed. Landing face down despite rolling over, he simply lay there and fainted. Anko was on the verge of jumping down, but she stopped when she heard something earlier. She then recalled his use of flame Shushin attacks and his ability to control the trees. "But most of all I will stop you for Sarahime." She and Kurenai were being flirted with by this Gaki. That made her angry until she heard him talk while still on the ground. "I am trying Sarahime, you told me you liked white roses and I already got your locket for you. I will get strong enough to protect you from him. At least I have not screwed this life yet. I hope everything works out. I am getting tired of repeating lives. You still look beautiful to me Senseiheim. Also I know the old man is already suspicious of me but I don't care. He did not trust me before so why should he trust me now? You always have such good advice Sarahime. First you tell me to learn about all the women I would like to live my life with. I tried that and found 3 goddesses that I would be honored to grow old with. There's you and Senseiheim and then there's Tamariheim. It sucks being this young Aegean. I have the body of an almost 6-year-old but the mind of someone many years older. I gave up a long time ago keeping track. Well I guess I better get started. Aegean, I will be glad to be a genin Aegean so I can finally show you my true self. I hope you're safe and happy my Heims." And he got up and started to walk toward a tree to get back to his house only to pass out and all of his clones disappear. As she listened to him, Anko remained where she was contemplating Kyuubi's dead grandmother, repeating lives. What the hell is going on? When Anko noticed that Naruto was still unconscious, she leapt from her hiding place, went over to pick him up, then climbed a tree to reach the mansion. Once inside, she almost dropped Naruto there. She was met with an incredible sight. She placed Naruto on the couch after noticing it while looking around. Then she began to scan her surroundings. She saw photos of herself with other people when she was older than she is now. When she saw a photo of Tsunade and Jiraiya with a child who appeared to be Naruto, she knew it was him because of the whiskers. She observed Kurenai with what appeared to be a genin team doing the same thing. Soon after, she discovered a similar image of Naruto wearing an orange jumpsuit alongside a girl with pink hair and what appeared to be Uchiha and Kakashi. Anko replied, "Do you ever show your face, Kakashi? And what the hell is with the orange jumpsuit? It practically screams kill me." A person on the couch said, "No, he doesn't, and the jumpsuit is all the stores would allow me to buy. Anko, they do after all want the Kyuubi brat to die." Naruto was slowly sitting up when Anko turned around. "So how much did you see?" he asked, turning to face her and looking down. "Everything from the battle royal to the Sanenfest, and I heard you afterwards," Anko said, glancing at him. Then Naruto turned slowly inside, saying, "I guess you got questions and want answers." Anko replied, "You can say that, but I am not the only one." With a nod, Naruto asked, "Do you think you can find this place, Aegean?" Anko replied, "Yeah. Why?" Naruto let out a sigh and said, "Tonight 7 o'clock bring Kurenai and the Hokage. Don't tell them what it's about, but make sure you're not followed. I will make dinner and answer everything." "Why should I believe you, Gaki?" asked Anko. The statement from Naruto was, "I will remove your curse seal." Naruto, still in pain from the spar, slowly stood up and walked over to Anko, who was stunned. He said, "Also, I always keep my promises even when they kill me." Anko disappeared in a whirl of leaves after appearing to consider her options and saying, "Alright Gaki, I will trust you for now." "Damn it, I was not ready for this." Naruto sighed and started getting ready for tonight. Anko returned to the village and proceeded to the office of the Hokage. The Hokage was seated in his chair when she got there, but a man she recognized as Uchiha Itachi was standing there. Instead, Itachi turned when Anko knocked and said, "Hello Anko, how are you today?" Anko said, "Fine," but she felt a little uneasy after hearing the Itachi clone's words. Itachi would murder the Uchiha clan if Naruto truly knew the future, as she had suspected. That was put away for later. The Hokage replied, "Itachi, I want you to see if you can find Naruto. You have the best chance with your tracking abilities." Anko replied, "Actually sir, that's what I came here to tell you. I saw him today and he wants to talk to you later today." "Really, and where did you see him?" asked the third. After seeing the memorial stone and recalling the genin team photo of Naruto, Anko remarked, "I saw him on a training ground near the memorial stone and he asked me to relay the message." "Never mind Itachi, thank you anyway," said the third, nodding. "Of course Hokage-sama." Itachi nodded and departed in a leaf shushin. After Anko let out a sigh, the third person asked, "So why did you lie?" Anko stated, "I really did meet him, but not where I said. I saw and heard somethings today that has me questioning Itachi loyalty. That's why I lied." Naruto said he wanted you, me and Kurenai at his mansion tonight at 7. After blinking, the third said, "Mansion? What mansion?" Anko stated, "He built a mansion inside the Forest of Death." "No wonder we could not find him," said the third, laughing. "There is something else," he said. "Kyuubi's dead and the seal's gone," Anko said, nodding. This caused the third to cough and turn pale, and he asked, "Anything else?" Anko replied, "I think the rest should wait until tonight. I would tell your family you won't be home till late because I think this is going to be a long night." The third nodded and replied, "Why are you so open about this, Anko? You hardly trust anyone, and the fact you are basically putting all your faith in Naruto is something I have never seen before." "I saw that kid do something even I could not do," Anko said after giving it some thought. According to the third, and that is, according to Anko, you will have to see for yourself. The third individual replied, "Right, I will meet you at the tower at the Forest of Death at 6:30. Stopping as he turned to go, Anko said, "I have a personal request, Hokage-sama." The third gave her a look and gestured for her to go on. She said, "Don't tell anyone about where we are meeting or have anyone follow us. The kid seems like he's been betrayed more times than I have and his trust is only so far." Sighing, the third said, "I understand. Finding out what he did will do that." After giving a nod, Anko went in search of Kurenai. Kurenai was discovered by Anko at the hot springs. She chose to unwind as well. When she arrived, she went into the water and sat by Kurenai after taking off her clothes. "I thought you would be training today," Kurenai remarked. Anko replied, I was until I met our mutual friend today. Blinking, Kurenai uttered, really, did you find out anything? Really, Kurenai and Anko, you both have a guy you like. Who is he? Said Genin Hana Inazaka. Kurenai replied, it's not like that, this guy is playing the whole mysterious person thing and has been flirting with both of us. According to Anko, he wants to meet us tonight at 7. Really, so where does he plan to meet you? Hannah asked as the two other women in the Tuheims turned to face them. She said, I found his home and he is going to prepare dinner for us and tell us everything we want to know. Exactly how did you find him, Anko? Kurenai asked, glancing at Anko. Anko stated, I found him when he was destroying a training grounds. The Gaki could probably beat most of the village if he really wanted to. Sighing, Kurenai remarked, learn anything new about him? Smirking, Anko remarked, I saw what he really looks like. To everyone's surprise, Kurenai sat upright and said, tell me. I will tell you this, don't let your first impression fool you, Anko said, shaking her head no. Kurenai let out a sigh and remarked, I detest your mysterious games. Meet me at my place at 6:15, Anko said, but you said he wanted to see us at 7, Kurenai remarked. You will find out why later, Anko said, then stood up to go. Are you going to tell us anything else? Hannah asked, glancing at Anko. After putting her hand on the locket, Anko turned to go, saying, nope. Kurenai let out a sigh, and Hannah responded, details. After cursing Anko, Kurenai remarked, all I really can tell you is that he says he has admired us both for some time and that he is a good kisser. Hannah remarked, and how do you know that? I went to flirt like we sometimes do after seeing someone I thought was a Suma walk into an ally, Kurenai said. Flushed, it turned out to be this enigmatic man wearing an unbreakable advance henge. I tried. I promise he has appeared in 3 separate discussions, sent us flowers, and found the locket that Anko claimed Orochimaru had thrown into the nearby raven. Hannah replied, sounds like he is going all out to impress you both. According to Kurenai, seems like it though, I wonder why he really is hiding who he is. Hannah replied, perhaps it's someone who was too shy to tell you. Kurenai said, maybe, as she calmed down and considered the future. When Anko and Kurenai reached the tower in the Forest of Death at 6:30 that evening, Kurenai exclaimed, what are we doing here, Anko? According to Anko, we are meeting his other guest. Who? Kurenai asked, coming up behind them. The third said, that would be me. Surprised, Kurenai said, Hokage-sama. After giving her a smile, he said, shall we, Anko? After giving a nod, Anko started guiding them to Naruto's house. The mansion was 2 stories tall and could probably accommodate 50 people comfortably. The 3 arrived at the mansion as the sun was just setting and they could still see it. Kurenai and the third were amazed by the place, and Anko was a little, but not as much, as before. After climbing the tree, they went to the front door, which opened, and a man in a butler suit was standing there. That has got to be the second best way to use cage bunshin I have ever seen, the third person remarked, laughing. Of course, Hokage-sama, the butler said, the best method is through paperwork. The third individual replied, indeed, and thanks for the tip. Now might I inquire as to where our host is? He will be down in a few moments, and dinner will be ready soon, the butler said. He said to, make yourself at home, and left orders to check if you needed any drinks. Anko said, I think you should look at his pictures in the living room before he gets here. After the third nodded, might lend credibility to his statements. After giving her a perplexed look and following her into the living room, Kurenai and the third asked a number of questions. As they looked around a few minutes later, the butler came back and said, dinner is served and your host is waiting on you. A voice behind them said, I'm glad you arrived safely and I know you 3 have many questions. They all nodded and followed the clone into a dining room, where 2 additional butlers were present and pulled out the chairs for Anko and Kurinia. The 15-year-old Naruto showed up dressed in a white dress shirt and black pants, promising not to lie about anything. Why are you still in a henge, Naruto? The third asked, glancing at him. Naruto replied, I will explain that, but I would like to tell you my story. Naruto, Kurenai said, similar to Naruto Uzumaki. With a sigh, Naruto uttered, yes and no, sensei-ami. As Kurenai put it, what do you mean? My real name is Naruto Kazama, and I am the Yondaime Hokage Arashi Kazama's son, Naruto stated. In addition, Tsunade and Jiraiya of the Sanins are my grandparents. Even though I appear to be only 6 years old, I am much older than that. The third person asked, what do you mean, Naruto? Taking a sip of wine, Naruto remarked, the Shinigami came and was about to take me to the other side when I was dying from a Chidori from my teammate Sasuke Uchiha after he defected from the village to go to Orochimaru. We hadn't merged enough to pull Kyuubi's soul to the other side, so he would have been freed. At the time, I was 13. The Shinigami accepted the bargain that Kyuubi had made with him. I would be granted one of the Phoenix's heavenly abilities, which would enable me to travel back in time to when I was 5 years old and attempt to make amends for the mistakes that I and others have made throughout my life. As part of the agreement, Kyuubi also gave me all of his power every time I return. I retain all of the knowledge I have acquired and have attempted numerous methods to correct my errors. The third person said, I find that hard to believe, Naruto, and also the fact of what you said about Kyuubi also is hard to believe. Everyone was in disbelief. You and I both know, old man, that the Kyuubi seal would always show up even through a henge, and as you can see I don't have it, Naruto said, lifting his shirt and using chakra. Whether or not you believe me is irrelevant, it's the reality in any case. I will respond to some questions, but some things must happen that cannot be altered or my knowledge is essentially worthless. As Kurenai put it, what do you mean? Naruto took a breath and said, a tragedy will befall Konoha within a month, and I could tell you who will do it and why, but it has to happen. I have tried every way to stop it, but it always either results in even more deaths or the entire city going into a civil war anyways. Sarahime, show me your curse seal. After Anko gave a nod and slightly shifted her shirt, the third person asked, what are you going to do, Naruto? Anko screamed in agony as Naruto walked behind her and said, removing it. He then put his hand over her curse seal and began channeling demon chakra into it. However, the pain was quickly replaced by pleasure as Naruto struck the same pressure point he had struck Kurenai, giving Anko pleasure beyond anything she could have imagined. The seal burned away, leaving only a scar. Naruto came over and sat down. I am sorry for tricking you, Senseiheim and Sarahime, but if you would have known I was a kid you would have ignored me flat out on principle, and I wanted to try and show you both I do care about you. What were the 2 scrolls that Kakashi went to deliver? Asked the third. Naruto laughed and replied, one was to try and work things out with the third person I wrote to the lovely ladies here about as a possible relationship with. I sent a potential political marriage and all, but I set it up where it's all her choice. Do I need to worry about anything concerning this? Asked the third, who nodded. According to Naruto, you will receive scrolls from Suna that will need to be sent to me, other than that not until my age group's Chunin exams. And the other one, said the third with a smile. Naruto uttered the words, family reunion. As Kurenai put it, what do you mean? Naruto replied, I want him to come train me and we are going to look for Tsunade. I will be back in time for my age group graduation. According to the third, you know I have to authorize that. Naruto replied, actually you don't, I am a clan member and you can't interfere with clan business. Also, as one of the founding clans of Konoha I have the right to leave the village anytime I please, so even if I were a ninja of the village I could not be considered a missing nin unless my clan said I was or I did so in an action that could be considered hostile. Also, I should state something, I own everything from the south gate to the Hokage Mountain and all the way to the academy as ordered by the charter of this village. That was the second reason I built my home here, the other is only skilled ninja could find it and make it to it. Kurenai replied, what do you mean you own the entire village that way?
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.